Hello, hello, cats and kittens, sisters and brothers. Welcome, welcome to Motor City Hollow Crown. I am your DJ, storyteller, troopersjp, and you are here on WVTM, all Vampire the Masquerade, all the time, your favorite station on the airwaves. Hello, hello, how are you? Thank you so much for all of your patience as, there's strain. I feel like Mercury might be in retrograde. Can you dig it? But we are here, and we are happy to see each and every one of you. How is it? We are doing that sort of thing that for some reason VtM storytellers always do since we've come to the age of actual plays, where they do some kind of strange opening monologue. Why? I don't know, but I'm doing it. So I just thought I'd let you know what's happening in the news. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight it is November the 3rd, 1973 in the Motor City. There are a lot of things happening today that you might find interesting and fascinating. First off, Sly and the Family Stone are playing tonight. That's right. I hope you have your tickets. If you do not have your tickets for Sly and the Family Stone, they're playing at the Masonic Temple Theater. We have a special giveaway that involves time travel. So there'll be we'll put up a phone call lines up soon. If you can guess the trivia question, which is which most relevant vampire movie came out last year, and then give a call in and we'll see who can win those tickets for a concert that happened 50 years ago. All right, that's great. All right, then, excellent. Besides our concert of Sly and the Family Stone, we also have a very exciting church social. I was told I have my papers right here. That's right. I was told that there's a church social happening that is going to be a campaign event for Coleman Young, representative. It's going to be right down. Perhaps you know our Reverend Cornelius. Not Don Cornelius. That's a different Cornelius. That's a Cornelius who you might know from Soul Train. Different Cornelius. But our good Reverend, with his, Reverend, would you put in my chat what the name of your church is? That is a thing that I do not know. Because I would like to, shout you out. Reverend Luther Cornelius Joseph, from the Church of name, church. He can't even hear me. That's fine. I'll get it later. So, please, we've got a number of pies, a bunch of potato salad, some of the best food all around on this side of Detroit, and it'll be a huge event. So please come on down there. Of course, there was a little bit of violence last night in the city, in Motor City. There was some protests that the police had to come in and take care of. Seems people are not so happy about stress. When stress just a few days ago, they killed some little old people who they said were drug dealers. But come on now, we all know that's not true. And there was some very large protests last night, and the police had to come in and pacify. And by that I mean the man was beaten, the brother man, the sister woman, and all of that. Well, I suppose we'll find out what happens tonight. The Resurrection Church. Thank you very much. Thank you, obviously. So please head on down over to the Resurrection Church today, this evening, right when the sun goes down, and you can see Reverend Luther Cornelius Joseph hosting Coleman Young, and of course, some of the best pies on this side of Detroit. So my friends, we will catch you right after these opening credits. All right. Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome. I need to be a little bit shorter. There we go. There. That's about right, I think. Welcome to Motor City Hollow Crown, Session 5, our Vampire the Masquerade campaign set in Detroit, 1973. It's an all VOC cast. You know what that means. Vampires of color. And this is sort of looking at what are the vampires, although as we learned last week, perhaps not just vampires, the sort of marginalized supernatural in a city on the edge of something of change. Let's just say on the edge of change. That's the best way to put it. And we're going to see what our pantagonists, our omnitagonists, our, pro, anti, who knows, what they're going to do to maybe perhaps save or change this city. So we are starting up on November the 3rd, which is a Saturday, 1973. Tuesday is the election. We have John Nichols and Coleman Young in a desperate race to see who will be the next mayor of Detroit. Detroit has never had a person of color as mayor at that point in time. And who knows if they will. John Nichols was the former chief of police who helped develop the STRESS program, which is stop the robberies and enjoy our streets. It's an kind of like a secret police is what it is. It's an undercover police group whose whole goal was to lurk about, entrap people, and then shoot them, I suppose. Really, I mean, that's not what they would say, but that's what they did. And this was all done in reaction to the uprising, the Detroit uprising. So he was the architect of that. He's a big law and order candidate, and he's got friends who might be questionable in our world, which we will talk a little bit about. And on the other side, we have Coleman Young, who was brought up before the HUAC committee for being a big old communist. He refused to talk about that. He said instead, maybe you all should stop suppressing the vote. I feel like that's not particularly American. He's been on a number of sort of oversight committees. He's state representative, and now he's running for mayor of Detroit. Also, he'll be attending a church social organized by our good Reverend, Reverend Luther, Reverend Joseph. 3 first names. I never knew which one I should say. Because if I said Reverend Pete, you'd know that was the first name. But if I say Reverend Joseph, anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So that's them. Last session, they learned a lot of things. Last session, they learned a lot of things. They also learned they need to find one particular person who is a practitioner of magic, of sorcery. And that person, the only person who might know where to find this person is Della. Yes, Della may be the only person who might know how to find this particular magician, the sorcerer. But in order to access where she might find him, she's going to have to go into Memoriam. Because the thing about vampires is that vampires live a long time. This is a thing that happens in 5th edition. Vampires live for, I think it's actually a pretty cool thing. You can live for centuries, and it's not good for your mind to remember everything that you've done for hundreds and hundreds of years. And so vampires' minds just sort of erase or sort of compartmentalize many things from their past. And if you want to access things from your past, you have to go into Memoriam, which is a sort of a meditative process where you sort of go back into your past memories to sort of discover things that you had sort of compartmentalized out. So if there's information that you need that you might have known in the past, you can go into Memoriam to learn those things. Or it's also mechanically a pretty cool thing because it allows you to give yourself either get information or give yourself assets or bonuses to sort of the idea being that, oh yeah, 50 years ago, I actually set this thing up, right? It's a way through it. It's like, you ever played Blades in the Dark, where you can do a flashback. It's like that, right? It's that sort of thing. But the idea being that vampires, they have to go into this meditative state to sort of revisit their memories. And the person that needs to be found, because last session, and I feel like there'll be a conversation about this, last session there was quite a bit about Detroit Renaissance and learning about the technocracy and Pentex, and that the current architect for the Detroit Renaissance Center might actually be the same person from quite some time ago who also designed the mystical architecture for Detroit. And, August Woodward. And that could be somewhat distressing because that would make him alive for a very long time. And there is one person that they know of, sorcerer Ah Chi, who is the first Chinese person known to come to Detroit in 1872. 1872. And he, of course, should be long dead. He opened up a laundromat, but he, being a practitioner of the sorcerer's arts, is not dead. However, where is he is another question. And there is someone who's been around the city for quite a long time and who may have known where to find him, and that would be Della. So that'll be a thing to think about. Yes, I believe I want to ask our prince what else. Oh yes, Rissa, I will indeed explain that counter. I'm going to ask you all because I feel like it's fair. What else happened? Oh no, we'll do it with our intros. I'm going to have my. I did not do everything. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting us. If you would like to support us, the best thing you can do is be here, either here or on our VODs. Thank you. Or you can retweet, let people know that we're live. You can give tips and bits, and if you do, I'll read out your tips and bits message at the end. You can be one of our sponsors on our Patreon. We have a Patreon, and all the Patreon funds go to pay for our cast, and for art, for music, that sort of a thing. We have a special sponsor tier, which is $200, which will pay for the cost of a 4-person cast, not including me, for 1 week. We currently have 2 sponsors, KY Hawkeye and Willem TW. Special shout out. And our sponsors also get a special ad during the ad break for me. I feel like that is all of that. Follow our friends, follow our wonderful cast. I'm going to have our cast introduce themselves. If you would, dearest cast, would you say who you are, who you're playing, and I would love for you, because I always find it fascinating to see what people will say, could you give a bit of a recap of the last session? Because I want to know what you're going to say happened. And I'll fill in whatever you miss, but where your priorities are. And I want to start with our prince, of course. Nordine, who are you? Who are you playing? And what happened last week?
Hi, my name is Nordine Alikdir. I'm a performer, writer, consultant. I do plenty of things in the TTRPG sphere, and I do many things outside of it as well. I play our prince, not Prince. That's an actual person. I play our prince in the game, Qasim Al-Khaf, also known as Caspian Arno, whose pronouns are he, him, the Banu Akim Prince of Detroit, which is interesting. Uh,
Mm.
Last time we met, we learned a lot of things, didn't we? We cast some magic spells and determined that it's not just the rituals, everything has got a little bit of a delay on it. We checked out a building project that is being done, the Harlem Renaissance building construction zone, which is leaching mercury into the water. And that's got us
Well,
all
into
on
people,
edge.
maybe.
Yeah. Uh, we're also like learning more about the coalition that we're up against, because there's many different forces
Yeah.
at play here. There's this technocratic coalition type thing going on. There's a seemingly separate but possibly similar sort of inquisition that is happening against vampiric forces, and maybe there's something else. I think there's something else, but I'm not 100% sure. um that was the majority of what we did. It was a lot of research and planning for the future. And all of us did some investigation into our own areas of expertise in order to determine more exactly about the situation, about who we're up against, and about how to defeat them.
Yes, indeed. I think that sounds pretty good. Okay, we're going to go with our next player du jour, Prince. Not the Prince, but Prince. Not neither of the city officially, nor the musician formerly known as, but just Prince.
Purple rain. No. Yes, hello everyone. I am Prince, also known as Dimples and Dice around the internet. That is where you can find me doing stuff and things. And find me on all the socials. I do TTRPG GMing, yada yada yada. I'm not a. Apparently, I am up for a crit award, which I'll find out if I won on Thursday. So we'll see about that. I am playing Reverend Luther Cornelius Joseph, the man with the plan. Just to fill in some stuff that Qasim, Caspian, did not. I had a chat with the church ladies to get us well prepared for our meeting with the future mayor of Detroit. It was very important that I speak to them, and they thought it was very important that they speak to me, which was very exhausting, which it always is exhausting. We also had a talk with a young lady and a werewolf. Yeah. One young such lady is a erstwhile companion of mine, and we took a little ride on a motorcycle. It was a beautiful
you both shared some blood together.
Just a little blood, yeah. Had a hand stuck in my back pocket. Wasn't the worst thing that ever happened.
Was great.
That's all the important stuff for Luther. I don't know about the rest.
Yes, but I will note that Davis's friend wants to talk about having a compact, sort of organizing a compact between the Lupine and the Kindred to stop what is going on. It looks like she notes that there's the third company is the third element is Pentex, which is this sort of large multinational company, and they're hooking up with the Detroit Renaissance, which seems to be a front for the technocracy or related to the technocracy. And she wants to have a discussion with the court about creating a compact, a non-aggression, sort of like a unity compact between the Lupine that are still here and the Kindred. And that is a thing that there was a lot of like, oh, I don't know if we're going to go for it, but she's like, this is what we need, especially we're going to work together to stop this. And she's very concerned about the environment. She's very concerned about Detroit Renaissance leaching mercury in places, and also what it's doing magically. She's very concerned about those things, and she needs that to stop. So she's probably going to come back to see if we can actually get a compact going. Because she floated the idea yesterday, she'll come back. Maybe
I made no promises. We'll see what I can do, but
hey, these are potential allies in stopping this. They get to roll to help you all out. I will top up those numbers up there in a second. So that was a thing that she wanted. There might be more information about that, or she might have other agendas, but she would like these people to stop. That's what she would like.
We all have our own agendas. It's not that surprising.
Yes. Was there anything else? I believe there is one thing that I did want to make sure because April wasn't here and I got something for her. So I'm going to toss it over to April first. Who are you? Who you're playing? And then, what happened last week? What was your character doing yesterday?
I'm April. You can find me as April Raygun. I play Della Holloway, the Nosferatu. Just up here because not because I want to be, but because I joined the short straw Della. Sorry,
short straw Della.
Short straw Holloway. That was it.
Short straw Holloway.
Last week April wasn't here, but I'm sure Della got into something there are changelings, and that's and a bloody handprint on a notebook with Sabat in it.
Oh, yeah.
Words that I can't read. Worm the syntax. Does that mean anything?
Pintex.
There, yeah, see?
Yep. Yeah, you reminded me. So, couple other things that did come out. Seems important, probably. Your dead Ventru. He was killed. Well, Roscoe said that he killed the Ventru. The group was somewhat skeptical of that claim because he was with you all at the time of the murder. So unlikely. However, you all suss out your guess. He has not admitted it, but your guess is that it was his child who did it. And he wanted to cover for his child, so that, because you're not allowed to like kill kindred without the permission of the prince. So, you know, he got the permission, everything seems to be fine, but that does lead to a bit of a small problem. And that is, Sterling had in his notebook, Sabat was the last thing he wrote. Sabat. And you all were going under the assumption that the Spot had killed him, but it turns out one of your own had killed him. So you don't quite know what it means that he wrote Sabat down there on that notepad, but the rest of his notepad included all of his notes. He had been clearly sent here by the former prince to gather intelligence, right? He had information on everybody who the old Camarilla probably would have had information on. People over in our green room are saying amazingly funny things, but I will not share them. However, so you know, you've got the yes. So he had taken notes on everybody who'd been around, assessing. He clearly got notes from the former prince about who's important, who's not important, and he was looking for possible places where the Elysium might be, so he could introduce himself. And then it seems that he, as a Ventru, noticed that the prince had been killed and there was not a prince, and he thought that would be the perfect opportunity for him to become prince. And that was not his remit, that was not his job. His job was just to go and observe and spy. But he figured that his boss wouldn't be mad if he also just took over the city. That seems like the most convenient thing. Then he died, so it didn't work out for him.
I mean, he's wrong. His bosses can't be mad at him. He is dead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they still can be mad at him. It's just that he won't care.
Not his problem anymore.
Not his problem. But this does lead to a question of what is the meaning of the word Sabat written down? What is that about? Our prince cast a spell, a very cool spell that writes in blood on a mirror, you know, a message. And he wrote down a message in the mirror of the club that the prince used to hold Elysium in. And the message was, your last friend died. Don't make the same mistakes. And that will reoccur 3 times. When someone of the prince or the prince's line walks by that mirror, the blood will seep into the mirror so that whoever it is might notice what is said in that message. Just a little bit of a warning or a threat or a, hey, how you doing? Yeah, so that was all of the info that you all learned about Sterling, who's dead. Yeah. Oh, you also learned that somebody had called in saying like, oh, there's an abandoned car here for street cleaning. And somebody in the police force, probably low level, was like, oh, don't worry, we'll take care of it. But then did not get around to do it because you took care of it first. So there's somebody who's not the police who has some kind of an in on that, but you don't know, somebody low level. So that's the police. Yeah. The only other thing I figure I should give a recap, and I'm going to make sure players can see it, and I'll make sure you all can see it as well. Let me bring you here. Because, April, you asked a question, and I wanted to give you the answer to that question. So this is a map of Detroit. These are urban renewal projects. 1963, this is their plan. And if you notice right here is the center, like there are these roads that sort of, there's Grand River. The Grand River Road is one of them. The Woodward is another. Gratiot is another. Michigan. There are these spokes that all sort of spread out. We learned about some urban planning, spread out from this one central point of the city. And all of those roads were part of the early planning structure of Detroit. And when there was a fire in Detroit and the fire burned down, August Woodward, who was a judge, city planner, said, "Do not rebuild yet. I have this idea of how to rebuild the city in a way that involves equilateral triangles and like special parks in the center and on the edges." And he wanted to sort of create this whole geometrically interesting situation, which he started, but he wasn't able to finish. And everything was going to sort of come out from those spokes with the center being at that moment. So this is, that you learned from Elena Ochoa, is sort of like a mystical ley line situation, that it's not about sending things out, but pulling things in, right? That these lines are going to draw everything in to that central point right there at where everything comes together right at the Detroit River. But they also decided to do various urban renewal projects. And those urban renewal projects involves making these freeways, right? So post-World War II, when the big, remember I mentioned like vampires had a lot of control, and then World War II happened, all of a sudden they stopped getting a lot of control. So you get these freeways that are built, and to make those freeways, you have to build them somewhere. And they built them right where people of color's neighborhoods were. And they just destroyed those people of color's neighborhoods just to, you know, yeah. And this big blue bar is sort of Black Baltimore, is like a big sort of black neighborhood. But this one right here, that small blue bar, was the old Chinatown. That was the sort of historical Chinatown that went back to the 1870s, 80s, 90s. And that was completely destroyed to make way for the freeways. And so all of this urban renewal is getting rid of all of these sort of older, these communities of marginalized people, including Chi used to live there. But of course, once everything was destroyed, he had to move. And where is he now is a bit of a question. Now, I will note the most important thing that was relevant is that big red circle where everything meets, where all of that sort of energy comes together, is right where the Detroit Renaissance is being built.
Who would have guessed?
Who would have guessed? You also learned that when people get injured there, when like construction workers get injured, they don't go to the local hospital. They go off to one of the hospitals over there in Grosse Pointe, which is where the rich people live, and all of the really rich, exciting people. Their bodies don't, nobody knows what happens to them, but they don't get to go to the local hospital. One person did, and he was full of mercury poisoning in a weird way. Like he had like mercury in his blood. So the local people do not get to work there, except maybe very, very low level, super, super low level, right? So there's clearly something about bringing in people to work on this project. They've got hyper tight security for a construction project that is not finished. Yeah. And they're very careful about making sure who can and cannot work in that place. They don't let just anyone work there in this big fortress that, by the way, is a series of 5 towers around a central rosette in a way that clearly seems, if you're paying attention now, perhaps a bit strange in terms of its mystical significance. I didn't do it. That was them, right? That was not my fault. I did not make it, but that is what it is, right? Sort of strange rosette 5 tower around a central core, big, huge fortress. Nobody gets in or out. Lots of money. Very impressive. And of course, it's really unknown who all of the Detroit Renaissance people are. But the architect accidentally signed his name August Woodward once. So, but that was erased and taken care of. I think that is everything. Is that everything? Is that everything? I think it's everything. So, Saturday, November the 3rd, 1973. Oh, I forgot. Sorry, Rissa reminded me. I forgot. There are numbers on our overlay right now. They're right over there. That's them, right there. It says Renaissance 50, Coalition 38. Yep. We are doing an extended test. It's an extended conflict. And every day, various forces make their moves. And they get a number of successes. You are behind. The Renaissance group has 50 successes so far, and you have 38. And I'm going to say this because April wasn't here, and I just want you to know that we've had 4 days. Day 1, 2 factions against you rolled. Day 2, Pentex was announced as a new partner with the Detroit Renaissance, which would make that 3, but the police were quite busy, so that was still only 2 that rolled against you on day 2. Day 3, nobody had tied them up in any way, so all 3 factions rolled against you on day 3. Day 4, all 3 factions worked against you. Day 1 and 2, you all were not rolling because you had not yet consolidated your stuff, but you started rolling day 3. Day 4, the Lupine became your allies, and they also rolled on your behalf. So they do want some things in order to continue being your allies. They want a compact, and they want some environment. They want Coleman Young to pass environmental protection legislation because there's a lot of weird, creepy quicksilver, mercury, mystical, and also just poisonous stuff leaching out of this building space, and they would like that happening. They probably want some more things. You'll talk about it with them. So today is day 5, and when you, at the end of the day, or at the beginning, whenever you want to, I will ask you all to roll what it is you're doing to help win the election and or slow down your opponents, your opposition, and they will be doing their things, of course. So let's begin with rouse checks. Because it's that time of day. Werewolf Fields failed hunger 3. Hungry.
Now to cast the spell I always cast in the morning.
The spell works, dimples and dice. Also, you're doing so well with your hunger. That is so nice. So nice. I think it's because you're in love. You know what I mean? Like, you don't gain hunger when you've just got, like... You know, who doesn't like shared blood bonds?
The person who's in one. Sacrifices must be made. I just have to do what I gotta do.
And Della is also at a 3. So we got 2 people at a 3. 1 person at a 1. And the night falls. By the way, those numbers, I'll just keep them up there so you know what kind of pressure you're under. Why not? I feel like that's great. My friends, the night has fallen. It's November the nights are getting longer and longer in Detroit. Some people are hungry. Some people are hungrier than others. As the night rises, our prince, Qasim, last night you were called in. There had been protests. Big protests. The city's angry about the killings that happened of what you know to be mages. Many of whom were, some of whom were college students, some of whom were like little old men from Ecuador who practiced Santeria. Some of whom, they were not dangerous seeming people, but it was said that they were drug dealers and that they had guns. And when, stress came to raid a couple of these study groups, they pulled guns on them and they were all killed. And the community didn't buy it. And there were protests that got a little big, and our prince was pulled away last night to help be part of the forces to sort of calm things down. Prince Qasim, tell me 3 things about what happened last night during those protests.
3 things?
I'm sorry. Let's do it old school, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 truths and a lie. Why don't you tell us 2 truths and a lie about that protest and your participation and your perspective of it?
One of the people on the police's side took the opportunity to inflame tensions rather than quell them, suggesting that maybe this is a long-term situation that a simple protest will not solve. Here's another rumor that I've heard. Coleman Young visited to speak out and gave a small speech against the tyranny of stress.
Mm-hmm.
And here is the third. Our friend John Nichols did not show his face.
Oh. Okay. Interesting. Just DM me which one is the lie. That's all I want to know. Thank you. And now, dear Reverend Luther, you had been working hard to organize this church social that will be happening tonight. I imagine to get a speech ready, of course. Also, you did a couple of submerged directives to make sure that Coleman Young will go and drink a vial of a liquid that is in an envelope in your office. Who knows what that liquid is? It's your blood. And so, and it was a successful submerged. He hasn't done it yet, but it's going to happen. Just in case anybody wanted to know. So tell me, when you, after all of these sort of meetings and all of this work, give me 2 truths and a lie about what you did after you left your meeting. You're muted.
The meeting with Coleman Young?
No, because you all met after that. You all came together as a group.
After the meeting with everyone else.
Yes.
Yes. So I think one thing that Luther did was go back to the gang and tell them to stay very, very far away from here. Stay somewhere else where you could draw some attention.
The Errol Flynn's is the gang, correct?
Indeed, the Errol Flynn's.
Mm-hmm. Very important gang, actually, historically. Flashy, nice dressers. And I feel like you told them some other things, did you not? I feel like you did. That maybe they want to act up.
Yes, it was basically in the TLDR would be go start some shit.
But I mean, of course, you didn't frame it that way. I mean, you framed
Correct.
it. Yes. Go off.
But you know, putting two and two together, they got the idea, and they will be well taken care of for that situation.
That's only one truth. That's one thing.
One truth. Yes. Yes. The
two truths and a lie. One of which you just DM me which one's the lie afterwards.
Yeah. The other two truths, because you know all of these are truths as far as you are concerned, is we met back up with our lupine friend. Luther felt like there was more to be extracted from that situation, and perhaps we could get in a little bit more with friends. And Luther may or may not have mesmerized his way into doing such.
And your third?
And the third truth is a very, very fun one. Luther has been taking parts of the sewers for his own.
Just
we've had a fight about this.
And dearest Della, there was a Primogen Counsel meeting. The Primogen are meeting basically every day before this election comes up because you all got to coordinate. But you were not there. What were you doing instead? Two truths and a lie.
I was looking into the building, these buildings and these streets, and just getting a better look, you know, from below, finding little access points and entryways. So that's one. Two, I have been reaching out to every magic practitioner or person I know from that time period to see if anyone knows where anyone has any word. I forgot the name. I wrote it down, but I can't read my writing. Achi, yeah, I found it. And the third thing that I'm 100% doing, and not a lie, is checking in with some of my little friendly informants that I have throughout the city. You know, animals come down the sewers, get some fleas on them. People walk by, get a flea on them. Fleas are real small and just get on all people all the time, constantly, and no one ever notices.
I have a question about that. And is my question to instigate? Probably. Actually, that's true. It's I want to know about these fleas. I just want to ask: are any of them wearing like top hats, or like do they do exciting tricks? Because I'm wanting to know about the circus.
So they are all personalized to the person they are spying on, just for fun and flair. So of course, the one with Luther is wearing like a nice little crucifix. The one with Qasim has like a little nightclub. They'll attack anyone comes too close.
It's beautiful.
The werewolf one has like a little spike collar. They all do tricks.
Now, okay. I will say that I did promise something last week, and I will not go back on my promise. You get to roll and add those 6 as part of this long extended conflict, and add your successes to your total. And it's going to represent what you've been thinking about in terms of checking out the buildings, right? All these things you're talking about. So let's see, what will we have you roll here?
What would I roll?
Yeah, to represent what you
do all
did.
These things? Everything would be with bugs and insects. I am not actually going to check anything out. I send my little friends to go through the sewers, through the tunnels. So it's amazing how many cracks are in buildings being built and how no one stops a bug from crawling in.
Yeah,
rat,
absolutely.
a spider,
rats, insects. So I feel like you're going to be making a, let's see. It's going to be your animalism, is it not? But what
I'm
is your...
hoping that.
Yeah. But what
Animalism,
is your...
animalkin?
Yes.
And best things?
Well, hold on. But what's your attribute going to be? Let's see. Your attribute is it's going to be, what do you do? It's is it
Feral Whispers?
Yeah.
Oh, where'd it go?
Where'd it go?
Gone.
Oh,
I don't know.
put it back. That was me. I pressed the wrong button. Will you add it back? I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I'm the worst.
hold on. I gotta
Yeah.
find the book again.
It's actually, you can get it from the compendium. Feral Whispers.
Can you just add
Because yeah, you can just drag and drop.
Oh,
I believe.
where?
From the compendium.
I think
by
I've
the
been
way,
doing
is
this
gonna be...
a really hard way.
Oh yeah, there's a. I did the. So it's manipulation.
Yes, you can
and also-
absolutely drag and drop these. Some of them.
I'm trying to find the compendium. Here,
So
I
it's the
have
eye. If you click the eye,
Yeah.
up on the upper left, there's a little circle with the eye in it, or upper right side of the screen, and then just type in feral.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just drag that to your sheet.
Just saying, it's drag and drop. It's really nice because that's like the coolest.
I think I have. Oh, shit. Hold on, I
So
gotta pop
it's-
everything back in.
Sure. Animalism, manipulation, animalism, or charisma, animalism.
Okay, I'll fix that later. Oh god, I have animalism on here like 6 times now. I broke roll 20.
You know what? You never break anything.
Oh god, it's gone again.
Put it. Just put it in there.
I'll put it in later. Okay.
Yeah.
So you said animalism and what?
Charisma or manipulation.
Okay.
Yeah. And you need to make one rouse check.
Charisma. I got that backwards.
So it's manipulation. Summoning is charisma. Having them to do things is manipulation. So manipulation and animalism, as it looks like.
Okay. Attribute manipulation. Sorry, everyone.
No apologies.
Okay.
Oh.
What did I roll?
Okay. So let's talk
I have
about
a
this.
messy critical.
Yes,
that sounds right. Everything's messy right now, y'all.
So you have a messy critical. Mm-hmm. The reason why I have a messy critical is because you got a critical success, and some of that success is happening in your hunger dice. So that means something bad happens as part of this critical success. There are what we call parameters for what that looks like. Things like, your beast takes over and does things. I'm going to say that you will find out what the negative consequence of that messy critical is probably tonight. Probably tonight. As your animals go off to all these very dangerous places. And you will find out what kind of blowback happens tonight. Of course, but I will take those 5 successes and I will add it to your count because I care.
Thank you.
The night has fallen. Where are you all meeting before the church social?
Yes, my prince. Where are we meeting?
Oh, I would want to support you, so I would suggest that we meet in one of the back rooms of the church.
I would decline. There's much preparation being had, and all of the back rooms are being put to the utmost of usages.
The closest restaurant to the church, then.
Excellent.
Okay.
It's a McDonald's right down the street.
No,
Bao does not own one of the McDonald's. He doesn't own one.
Although he should. I hear
he
that
should.
Loading right now.
Yeah, he should get it. Like, they've got all those really great jingles, quarter pounder, the double Dutch. Anyway, so there's probably a nice little. It's an Italian restaurant, actually. A little sort of like Italian pizza place that he owns, and this one's like kind of like long, and in the far back, like where like the storerooms are, there is a meeting space, and that is where everyone will be coming together for this meeting. Hello, Dragon Riders! Welcome in, Raiders. Come on in. Our Primogen Counsel is going to have a meeting. Now, who is and who isn't at the Primogen Council tonight? Oh, I should ask, does anybody want to hunt beforehand? Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling pretty good. I don't think there's any necessary.
Interesting. Well. That's going to mean some things, won't it? I'm going to need... Yeah. I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to come back to Luther. I would like your hunting rolls for our two people who need to hunt. By the way, Qasim, it's slow. Your magical rituals were slow, as if energy is being leached away, and it just takes you a little bit of extra time to gather the energy to get there. That's a 1 out of 0. Qasim.
Hold on, I'm gonna do a willpower roll.
Okay, I was just because
2 successes.
Okay, look. Your difficulty is 2 because these are not good neighborhoods. Just noting it. Tell me about your hunting.
Specifically, Qasim is looking for the people who could use a hit of the pleasure a bite could provide. Damn.
Yeah.
Also, specifically, people reached in the end. If there's someone reaching the end of their life.
Do you go to the hospital?
I do, actually.
There are a lot of people in this hospital. This is an inner city hospital, right? This is a hospital without all the money. And, oh, yes. Boys, thank you for reminding me, actually. I wanted to do something. Plans. Add symbols. I want to add your clan symbols to your overlay, by the way. I just need to remember that. It's one of my goals. Thank you. So, our Banu Hakim Prince, in this hospital, inner city hospital, neon lights, sort of shorting out a little bit here and there, and so it makes everything has that kind of weird color to it, when kind of sort of weirdly yellowish tinge to things, and so many people in the waiting room. Right, the emergency room, waiting room is just packed, and people have been sitting there for hours because they're understaffed. The money is not being spent here, but with the sort of, and there were people who got injured last night. So the whole place is packed. It's full. There's so much chaos that it isn't very difficult for you to find someone who's in a space without anybody looking, who is suffering a little bit. And I think on this night, you find a Greek man, probably in his 50s, who is in a room. This room at the moment is just him. charts don't look good. Seems to have perhaps cancer, maybe. Not doing well. Also, he's here, which means he doesn't have a lot of money. And he is alone, and nobody's visited him. You know, he's got no visitors. He's by himself. Yeah. There's like a sadness, right, in the room.
Qasim walks in, no badge on him, just dressed, you know, like he normally would as an undercover detective. What's the name on this chart?
Nikos.
I definitely check.
Nikos Papadopoulos.
I walk in and I close. Yeah.
He's in his 50s, but he looks older. Do you know what I mean? Like he's clearly had like a probably blue collar work. Probably working in the plants. And that ages you, you know?
Are you Miss Nikos?
Kind of looks up. Yes. Doctor?
No,
and he kind of peers at you.
Just a visitor, I say as I close the door softly behind me.
Visitor for me? Did my daughter send you?
Yes.
Oh, how is she?
She's good.
Are you her friend?
Something like that. I sit on the edge of the bed and take one of his hands in mine.
That's
you been,
good.
Nikos?
Oh.
How have you been?
Not so good. If I must ask you, what are your intentions? With my daughter, have you come to ask my approval?
Would you like that?
Oh, what do you do for a living?
I'm a police officer.
Sort of frowns a little bit at that. Well, at least you have a real job, I suppose. Well, do you make my daughter happy?
There's like a small breath. And then the mask comes on. All I want to do in my life is make her happy. Promise that to you.
All right. I approve.
What about you? Are you happy?
My children don't visit anymore. They said that this was not related to work, so I don't have workers' comp. I'm afraid I'll give my children debts, not anything more. So no, I'm not.
Hanging on is a very hard thing, you know. I've seen a lot of people in your position just give up.
No.
You want to give up?
No one remembers me.
They'll remember you, I promise.
He squeezes your hand. What's your name? Future son-in-law.
Caspian. And I, taking on like a conspiratorial whisper, I lean in close to him. And I'm here to save you. And then I bite down on his neck.
And And like first there's that shock, but then his body slackens, right? As the ecstasy of the embrace comes over him. How much do you take?
Just enough to take his life, but not enough to fully drain him.
When you say take his life, do you mean kill him?
Free him.
Free him. Free him. Well, that's 3 points. You can clear your hunger completely. You will have to take stains, however. Freeing someone is worthy of stains. Let me ask you, do you have any convictions that might mitigate this?
One of my convictions is empower the weak and deserving, but I don't think this is empowerment.
No.
I'm afraid
no. Well, that's too bad. You will have to take stains, in which case, 2 for murder. Fine. And I would like you to tell me, you know your beast, who's always there, waiting. Tell me how your beast stops whispering to you as Nikos drifts off into peace.
I've gotten older, and my beast has changed as I've aged. It started off, some silly little Frenchman who used to speak out words of God as people around me died. But now it is one of the sufferers, one of the many sufferers I have freed. Dying of plague way back when. It almost sounds like choking.
And as Nikos' spirit passes, it's very empty. There are always the voices of the plague victims, always there, with you, walking beside you, looking out for you in their own way. But at this moment, they're quiet. Almost always, you have what some might call a beast. I don't know what you call it. That's what some call it. But you have this other entity or entities always there with you, coughing, hacking, whispering. And at this moment, they're gone, all of those voices. How does that make you feel?
Not be tortured by the voices of the dead. Buying his freedom bide me mine.
And Nikos comes to stillness as your beast comes to stillness. And the lights flicker. And is all Della. Tell me about your feeding. I believe you have a role.
I was going to ask you what I should roll because mine is the Sandman, and I typically just feed on the people who are in the sewers. So
there is a role because unless you have a herd, which you don't,
I don't. Okay,
you must make a roll for it.
Dexterity and stealth.
I believe so. Yes, and again, your difficulty is only 2 because this is not a, let me get your feeding style. Ah, well then. I would like to know, how much do you drink?
I drink down to 2 or drink down to 1. Yeah, drink down to 1.
If you drink down to 1 and you only take 2, you will not kill this person. I need to ask you a question. Who is your beast? How does your beast manifest in your mind?
They are constantly pushing Della to cross a line that she doesn't want to cross. Della does not kill. Della has no issues with people killing or hurting each other, but her thing is about helping people. She wants to help, even if she doesn't fully act on it or show it often. Everyone down here is in the sewers with her is there because she wants to help keep them safe from what's up there.
Yeah.
So it's constantly pushing her to cross that because the people she feeds on are the people she is there to protect.
Yeah. And your voice, what does it sound like?
Sorry, the voice that popped in my head just now, I'm so upset about. And now it is the voice. It is a thing that scared her for a long time and something she had to get used to. And it's a laughing, almost like clowns, like a just a loud, high-pitched, manic laughing, pushing, saying it's fun to hurt and kill and eat.
And this mass of unhoused people in the sewers, huddled for warmth, it's November after all, in different spots. As you, let me get this for you if you don't mind. There you go. Where did I put it? This is the resonance of the person. Melancholy. Right? Melancholy. It's a sad time in Detroit, I have to say.
We're both so sad.
Look, there's a weird vibe all over the city, like a blanket of melancholy has just spread over the entire city. There is big magic happening, and it's not making people feel good. And as you bite into this person and begin to draw their life essence, you hear it. Ooh, tasty. Come on, a little bit more. I'm still hungry. It's fun. Fun to just drink a little more. A little more. Little more. Little more.
Della usually tries to ignore it and not feed into it and acknowledge his existence. She has gotten through most of her life ignoring problems and running away. So the feeding becomes more rushed as she's trying to distance herself away from it as fast as possible. It becomes more sloppy, not as gentle.
Yeah. The person you feed off of doesn't know the difference once the ecstasy of the bite comes upon them. But you pull away before you murder this person.
Oh, good.
But as you step away, the voice says, "That's no fun. Well. I'm going to be here watching you."
And the sound of all the bugs in the hive just start rattling and becoming louder and louder to help her block out the sound. Though it's in her own head, you start hearing it echo through the sewers. So if anyone's in the sewers, they would start hearing the swarms.
And here's the thing. You don't kill, which means your beast never is quiet. You can block it out with the sounds of all of your insects chittering till it gets too loud. It's always there. you can imagine, I imagine in my mind, there's a clown with the clown white makeup, the bulbous nose, teeth that are all jagged, covered in blood. Their fangs, but not just a pair of two fangs, but all of their teeth are fangs. And of course, the lighting is from below, so that you just get that strange sort of distorted figure. And sometimes it's you.
That would make sense.
Mm.
And I think the worse her hunger gets and the worse the beast gets, the more damaged and manic.
Yeah.
And the makeup cracks and the dust kicks in, and it looks less like a more current day clown and way closer to the Depression era.
Yes.
End of carnival type clown that just does not look friendly.
Yes, right. And I imagine it's that kind of like hobo clown, right? Sort of making a mockery of the people you're trying to protect.
Yeah.
But you only have one hunger. That said,
It's gonna be a great day, everyone.
Reverend Luther. Some people went hunting.
Yes, sir.
So some people get to the meeting early, this little Italian place. And you arrive. And when you are there, it is you, Davis, Roscoe, the darkness, Elena. As a matter of fact, the entire court is here, except for the prince and Della and your very good friend. Very, very good friend. Who is your fellow conspirator? Maybe, maybe not. It's not like she likes you that much, but maybe she does. It's unclear. Your very good Zeemish conspirator. They have not arrived. They're all running late, it seems, which means you are in front of everyone by yourself for a bit. Anything you want to chat with the rest of the court about when your prince and Della are not here? I'm just curious.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. So, sitting all here, Luther looks around and takes in the room and goes, so it seems that our prince is indisposed at the moment. So I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Roscoe, if I'm stepping out of turn.
I'm not taking over. Again, I'm not the seneschal. I know you all want me to be prince. I know it. You keep pressing me, and I understand, Luther, what you're trying to do here to make me decide to be prince, but I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say was, our prince is a little bit more soft-hearted than a lot of the current company. If I'm not mistaken, y'all could correct me if I'm wrong.
What'd you say? Speak up.
I said, I believe that our prince is a little bit more soft-hearted than the company that we currently have at the table. Now, I don't think that is entirely the most beneficial for the future plans of the city, particularly in getting Coleman and Young elected. I do strongly believe in fighting fire with fire. Maybe not necessarily blowing up a building.
I feel
Fire
like
with
blowing up
fire.
a building might be a good idea, though. We should think about it. I don't particularly have all those explosives.
I will table that until we have, exhausted all other potential solutions. But a few things, as they say, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. And I think we might need to start taking out some key players or potential conspirators to ensure this victory. Now, we ain't trying to make people martyrs out here, if you know what I mean, but creating a little ruckus, a little drama, a little problem.
Ruckus.
Maybe, perhaps, some particularly pointed pictures of extramarital affairs or things of that nature to shake things up. Now, these things could be forced or coerced for, the other mayoral campaign. I think that you can't come out of these things with the win without getting your hands a little dirty. And breaking a few bones if need be.
Yeah, because we were talking about, like, at first you were like ruckus, and Rockto was like, oh, ruckus. And then you were like, blackmail is like boring, not interesting. And then you're like, breaking bones, and he perks back up again. And he goes,
yeah. There's a few of those bodyguard types and people that we could just get out of the way. No one will miss some of those thugs.
It's not an explosion, but it's all right. Now, the darkness says, well, blackmail, that I like.
It's proven to be effective. All we have to do is get it to the right hands in the proper news outlets. You understand my meaning?
Yes. Compromising positions. I don't think Nichols is all of that flexible. So the compromising positions probably be a little bit boring in photographs, but I have a sense of art about me. I could do that.
I feel like this is well within your capabilities. I know you have a great sense of style and
yes,
sensuality even.
I feel like Venetian blinds, horizontal, neon sign, bleeding into the room, something squalid, something dirty. Oh, I have ideas. I just need to get him there. Who owns a motel? Who has one? Someone trustworthy. Ooh. The prince has been following Nichols about. I think he probably knows where I can find him. I can see it in my mind. You said not for the soft-hearted, correct?
Oh, yes, of course.
Good. I have artistic freedom, yes?
Of course. I wouldn't want to stand in the way of your vision.
Excellent. I'm seeing everything before me. I'll have to ask the prince where to find Nichols. Oh, I have good ideas. Ooh, what was it? Oh.
Roscoe, Roscoe, I may or may not know some people within the Arrow Flynn's that may be on the other side of town, potentially causing this a little bit of this ruckus that we were talking about.
All right.
Yeah. It would be preferable if most of them came out of this situation without any lockups or long-term problems. But like I said, breaking a few eggs to make an omelet, and you can break a few police if you're willing.
And all right, well, now hold up now hold up there. Let me give you some quizzes. Test your mettle. 1. You want me to go over there, be some ruckus on the west side, maybe? You want me to go over there and make sure that our boys don't get too roughed up, is that right?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, let me ask you another question. Since we're talking about soft-hearted princes, question just popped into my mind, just out of nowhere. Certainly not in some sort of green room chat, but since we're talking about soft-heartedness, I need to know, when was the last time you snuffed out the life of somebody?
Now, Roscoe, why is this important?
If our prince is too soft-hearted, I want to know what sort of heart you have.
And as Luther's sitting there, start to see little shadows start to flicker off of him and grow a little bit. And I'll roll a rouse check for this, because this is not necessarily to use the power, but to more just
it's for effect. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. I even get hungrier with it. So this is even more to the effect. The shadow starts to sort of peel off of me onto the walls, growing bigger than me.
Yeah.
And Roscoe, I don't tend to get my hands very dirty. But when I do, the last thing that a man might see if they're close to me is black.
I need to make a roll.
Roll my way from...
I need you to make a roll. For me.
Okay.
Right now. I need you to make charisma.
Okay.
Would be your attribute. And for the skill, I'm going to give you a couple choices. Leadership is one choice. Intimidation is the other.
Okay.
Or melee.
I'm going leadership then. Would my oration,
yes,
specialty and
yes.
leadership count? Absolutely.
Yes.
Excellent. Wonderful.
But please also take a bonus die for your... Well, what is your level? Add your ability, the level in your ability that you're using for the shadows.
Better.
Can maybe just taking some notes here. 8. Interesting. I'm gonna make a roll myself, if you don't mind.
It is a crit. Yes, indeed.
I'm gonna just make a roll, and then I'm gonna make a note. I've got a 5d10. 1, 2, 3. You made that by 5. Great. I'm gonna be taking a note right here. Please, Nordine, just note what I'm writing down right now. Roscoe, 5. Luther. That's all. Just writing it down in my notes. Just right there. And as these really intimidating and kind of creepy shadows move across the wall and you say this thing, he looks at you, this Bruja, and he says, You know what they say, the young people.
What's that,
Black
old
is
man?
beautiful.
Black is indeed beautiful.
He leans back. This is when you two arrive. After you had just a little bit of time to chat with everybody, because, y'all were hunting.
Now my shadow is doing what it will, as long as nobody comes in here.
We all walk in.
Before
It's
we
just a
walk
big
in,
ass shadow over me.
Yes,
give you some
you
extra
actually, you're going to meet up with Della before you get into the room.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You would have missed yesterday. What happened?
Huh?
You would have missed yesterday. What happened?
Oh, I was looking into things.
Looking into what? Can I help?
Things that are happening with the city. The things that we all were talking about we were going to go look into.
I was concerned.
Oh, well, thank you. No, it just took us longer than I thought.
Well, on the plus side, we're here now. Have you seen Lottie?
I would assume she'd be in there. Would she not?
Usually she arrives late. No matter. And I open the door.
Maybe the Reverend's a good influence on her, showing up on time.
One would hope.
Chuckles under her breath.
And when you walk in, and Bao is out near in the transition, right? So he's always he's the keeper of the Elysium. He's making sure you're all safe. And when you walk in, what do they see? I will say you see Elena Ochoa sort of sitting. She's got her bag, she's got a messenger bag where she keeps her spray paint and other things. And she's just she seems a little on edge, I suppose. Davis is kicking back, leaning back in a chair with her feet up on a crate, just chilling. You know what I mean? She's just having a good time. She's feeling really good. She's feeling mellow. She's enjoying herself. Roscoe has got his cane and he's gripping it. And there's an excitement about him. There's an electric energy in the room. The darkness is dreaming, I imagine. Lost in thought, probably something artistic, maybe involving blood, who knows? Just, in their mind at the moment. And what does the Reverend look like?
The Reverend actually, now that he has had this talk with Roscoe, he's sort of chilled down. The shadow is of normal size, but it is not moving like a normal shadow would. They say give this to your storyteller for discretion on that. But it lasts for the scene, and I'm not dropping the shadow, so it's going to continue to be there. And Roscoe almost doesn't have any reaction to them joining the room, but then there's a moment, not Roscoe, but Reverend. And he goes, "Oh, blessed be, there is our prince. And I have something for you, my glorious prince. And this is a little something for you. I was thinking about it. I was reading the Bible the other night, and I thought this would be a great verse for you. So, the people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who dwelt in a land of deep darkness, on them has light shone." Isaiah 9:2.
What a gift.
The shadow behind the Reverend, by the way, seems to. You can see the shadow up against the wall, And the shadow is, of course, doing exactly what the Reverend does. But after the Reverend finishes speaking, the shadow just like leans to the side so it can get a good look at you, Qasim. And the shadow sort of seems to stand up, looming behind the Reverend. And then it just sits back down again.
And after Luther does this little Bible verse, he just throws a wink Della's way.
Della had already just ignored this show of this little contest between two people and just sat down in a chair. And...
You should have waited for me. I love puppetry.
Oh, you can go stand in it if you like to. Might not love it quite as much at that point.
Well, Elena goes, my prince, what, we have been waiting for you. Lottie is not
Yes, we
here.
have.
Did everything go well last night?
No.
With the protest?
Last night was... Let's just say the protesters seemed more emboldened by the day. Which is not a bad thing. But it's a bad thing for the city. John Nichols, as far as I can tell, didn't show his face once. Coleman Young did.
She nods. I have not been able to find the location of Achi. Della? Perhaps you might know where to find him? Ever since they destroyed Chinatown, I have not been able to locate a place to find him.
Currently looking. The destruction of Chinatown hurt everyone. But the destruction of the freeway, the shape of the city, all of it leads up to only one person, and the person who created it.
I don't know what sort of magic that is being used to keep him alive so long. But I feel as if Archie is still alive, then I think he would know.
I would assume it has something to do with what they're building. That's the center of all the ley lines.
Yes.
That's the end of the tunnel. Every bit of magic is being pulled towards that point. And people are getting sick. Interesting. Just interesting.
If they're getting sick, this means that their use of the magic is...
Mercury
They're
poisoning.
drawing more. Yes. They must be trying to draw more from than they are able to receive. It would explain why our magic is slower. They are drawing in everything, and so much that I am not an expert in this way, but I think this must be what they call paradox. They are doing something too much. The universe does not like... There is a state of the universe, and when you use magic to upend this natural state, the universe sometimes does not like it, and there's a backlash. I think that whatever they are doing is too big. It's still subtle, but I think that there is some sort of after effect that is causing damage.
If true, they likely know about it already. Qasim like has his shoulders thrown back. This like black-haired man, all of that black hair pushed into a messy bun, a neat beard, 2 silver earrings, one in each ear. And yes, he's dressed currently like a cop, off duty. Um, and like resets his glasses a little bit, looking more healthy than I think most people have seen him in a while.
Mm.
If you're missing Sahir, needs help, well, there are probably ways to go and find him. But if I'm being honest, considering what the protests were about last night, I wouldn't be surprised if Archie was dead.
Aren't
Elena
you
says,
just a bowl of sunshine?
I'm a realist. What can I say? Not an optimist.
Della, you've lived here in Detroit, and you've known him. Perhaps you know where he sleeps, where he can be found. Perhaps it lies locked in your memories. Would you search them?
You talking to me?
No, Della.
Yeah.
Would you search your memories?
There's
Would
gotta
you
be an
into
easy way
memoriam?
than that.
You're one of the only ones here who would know him and knew him in the past.
Fine.
The doctor says, all of this is well and good, but, dear Prince, you have been studying our dear John Nichols, where he goes, where he can be found. I would like to get in contact with him tonight. Would you mind giving me a lead on where I might find him?
Why?
Ooh. Well, there has been a suggestion of a little bit of blackmail. Photographs, in a compromising position.
Suggestion? Why haven't I heard the suggestion?
This is
I believe that's
awkward.
because some people arrive on time and some do not.
I had the best idea.
It's not a bad idea at all. No. I would suggest not taking out Nichols himself. Because you see,
No.
the more we can take someone close to him out, campaign manager, someone he associates dearly with. That
Ooh.
way, no one can say, oh, obviously this was just a plot by the opposition.
All right. But you still know these people better than I. I need a bar or a restaurant or a public place where I might lure one of them away.
I have a few ideas.
Excellent.
I'm
I'm thinking something. Well, I'll dress nice, of course, but I want to lure campaign manager somewhere smelly, somewhere forgotten, something. Ooh, I have ideas, but I just need to know where to find them.
I list the name of a couple cop bars.
Mm.
One that I know Nichols likes to frequent, one that his wife, who's a former policewoman, likes to frequent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is his favorite. This is his wife's favorite.
Ooh, interesting. All right. If you don't need me, do you? I have blackmail to arrange.
Of course. Oh, my dear, you should know that his former wife died of a suicide.
Oh.
Be careful.
Oh. Hmm. The darkness sees something. The darkness stands.
Have fun plotting.
Oh, I will. I will get you photographs, maybe even video by the end of the night or early tomorrow, depending. And she
Darkness,
walks
before you
by.
leave,
Yes.
stay alert. Watch out for your enemy, the devil. He prowls around roaring like a lion, looking for someone to devour. And that's from Peter. 5'8".
Oh. Yes, yes. I do love being devoured when the devil's handsome or pretty. And she...
That's why I kept that for you.
Thank you. And she walks by and she just trails her fingers across Della's back. And she says, Della, you look expertly yourself, as always. Also,
Thank you.
I'm waiting. Could we... Listen, later we'll talk about it. I want more art, more performance. I would like you to bring back Carnival. Think about it.
It's a long time since the last time we had one of those.
I know. It's too long. I return. And the darkness floats out of the room to most likely do something very bad for people. Roscoe turns and says, all right. What's the word, Prince? We've got, whatever the darkness is going to do, I'm going to go head over on the other side of town. There's going to be a bit of a gang war, I think. A good old rumble, which I haven't been in a while. My knee, you know.
A gang war? You really have been busy, haven't you? My
Oh, not
apologies
me.
for arriving so late.
Oh, no, that's, the Reverend's got that sewn up.
Absolutely.
Just,
In it,
just helping and keeping people, less bloody, or at least on our side. Made a couple cracks.
in any case, we need to think beyond just the election. Coleman Young will be visiting the church tonight, where hopefully some of you can get face-to-face time if you haven't already, but I warn you to not get too close. We want him to be spotless as possible.
I'm not going to go talk to some politician. Go crack heads. Gang fight.
He's more than just a politician. He's a leader of people. Anyway, this building needs to be altered. And we need to find a way to make it so that the architect wishes to rearrange his plans so that this web of collection ceases or is redirected. The question is how. Does anyone have any news on the on our aged architect? We know the name that's on the list, but beyond that.
I still feel like all those lines won't work if there's a little bit of dynamite. You know, just waking up
Roscoe, you think in the physical world. This
Yes.
is a less physical issue.
Elena says, the prince is right. You cannot just blow up a ley line. It's not how that works. Roscoe.
But we certainly appreciate your ambition, Roscoe.
I will find a use for your bombs. That's a promise.
Because y'all gonna go talk about strange things. I'm gonna go and come to my gang war. I want some kind of present. It's a Saturday night. Talk amongst yourselves. Roscoe gets up on his cane, starts walking out. Gonna go crack heads.
The moment he leaves, I close the door. The man who should have been prince, everyone.
Davis says, well. So, we've got to find this architect, man. And, we have to, get eyes on him. My, lupine friends, they are pressing for a compact, can we, be cool, sign some sort of things, ceremony?
I believe
Peace.
we made an agreement in the tunnels, did we not? We agreed that we would push Coleman Young, should he be elected, to establish more protections for heritage buildings and green spaces in the city. What more do you want?
My friend, she she wants an official, she wants it hey man, she wants it official. There's an official compact. No violence between us and them. Unity. And
Unity is a hard sell. No violence, I can promise, but
That's a strong promise to be making there, Prince.
no violence?
Yes, it is.
How many of you are stupid enough to go against the Lupine anyway?
Oh, I don't mean to suggest that we are going to go attacking Lupine. What I'm saying is we can't promise that they won't attack us or that a few of our friends might won't get a little froggish and leap.
We can.
I'm just saying making the promise is a bit strong.
that's the whole point
of non-violence between the both of us. If one of us breaks it, then it's broken. Simple as that. That's how contracts work. Like a marriage. Only one that neither one has to speak to one another for a while. But it would have to be temporary. A decade.
Why is that exactly?
Why? Because, quite simply, the leadership of the Lupine will change. We're making a deal with one faction.
Yes, I agree. I'm also saying, why won't you say in that case that as long as you're a prince of this city, that this pact shall remain in place?
Well, for all we know, I could be prince for many, many years to come. Or
exactly.
Tomorrow, I could be no more prince at all. Like I said, I'm a realist. I don't want to attach it to myself. I want to attach it to time, a calendar that we can both abide by.
Okay, but man, I don't know why we need to ever break the compact. We can come together. That's peace,
we can put a clause that at the end of the 10 years, we are forced both to renegotiate.
Hey,
is that not reasonable, my dear Davis?
I suppose. I got a question though. So there's a word, that I heard. She was talking to some of her friends, and I don't know what it means. But I think it's important. She said something about like a city mother. Do you know what that is? They were talking. They didn't know I was listening, you know, because I was just like, you know, my own space. But like, they were talking about like city mother. It's important. I don't know. They want the compact, you know, because like the city mother's in trouble, or I don't know.
Is that a phrase any of us heard before? City mother?
It's a good question. I'm gonna need a roll for this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna need a roll. This will be a cult. And
Nothing in a cult.
Yeah, this would be a cult. And I would say this would probably have to be something like, intelligence. Intelligence occult.
Oof. All right, I'll give it a go.
Would connections in the police help me out?
Nope.
I would like to use corrupting influence.
Tell me.
So it says once per game, people are willing to gossip. Most rumors are, wait, is that the right one? That's the wrong one. Sorry, wrong one. I would like to use side hustle, and once per session, they can get their hands on item, information, or access event that has 2 dots in related resources, contacts, or influence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Would that help me?
Yes. Yes. And this is to get you info, yes?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It would give me whatever information someone with 2 dots of influence in that subject would have.
By the way, you just rolled intelligence, our dear prince.
Oh. I don't know how that happened. That's legitimately weird. I'm super intelligent.
But you succeeded real well.
I did.
But
you super succeeded.
Wrong roll. That's the wrong roll.
4 successes.
4. By the way, the difficulty for this is a 4. Because this is very hard to know.
Well, then I don't need to use my stuff.
Well, you would get different information, right? There are some differences here.
Yeah.
If you're using contacts in this way, that's different, right? That is a different situation. And I'm going to tell you this before we go to break.
Ooh.
I will start with our prince. You have traveled around the world, but you can't find your baby. No, that's a different song. You have fought Garou, have you not?
Once or twice.
Mm-hmm. How often have you spoken and or stalked and or spied upon them?
Spied incessantly. Spoken somewhat rarely.
There is something that you've heard of. City Mother, interesting. That's not necessarily the one you remember. You were in Paris, if I recall. Yes?
I was,
I think
yes.
you didn't like it. I do not think. But you do remember when you were in Paris, there were a number of lupine there. Kind of a type, bonars, they called them. Some of the kind they be a little homeless. Not necessarily respected by the powerful of the lupine, but they tend to stay in cities. And they quite populous there in Paris. It was a tricky space, that city. But you recall them speaking of the city mother of Paris, which you thought was metaphorical. But spying on them, it seems that it wasn't. You got the sense that it's a being. It's a spirit. something powerful, that the way they seem to talk about it, it seemed to be like a city itself can have a manifestation, right? Like it can have a supernatural being, it seems. And that something kind of holy, maybe. Something important. You know it's something that not all of them, but some of them, at least the ones that you knew in Paris, were obsessed with in some way, right? Or it's a belief maybe that each city might have one, or powerful cities might have one. A little bit difficult to figure that out, right? But something about the idea of there being a powerful spirit that somehow embodies the city in some way. That some of the lupine that stay in cities seem to be, at least in Paris, they are obsessed with finding and protecting in some way. But whatever it is, it's powerful, it's important, right? It seems like that's their job to, I don't know, worship or interface or protect. But they're rare. That's what you know. And if there's one here, that's something. However, our dear Della, you know people, right? This is your thing. You know people. You know the story of a myth, of the true king. It's a mythical figure. You might have heard mages talk about it, perhaps. There is a story of the true king from the old days. A true king is a monarch who is born, who is connected to the land they rule over intimately. It's this idea that if the king becomes sick, then the land will become sick. If the land is sick, the king will be sick. It's all sort of hogwash, because kind are not like that, really. But there's this sort of idea that the person that embodies the place and the place itself are linked. This thing that we're talking about, you have heard from, oh, I would imagine you've got a couple of sort of practitioners of magical arts, because you've been looking for them, who were at one point in time probably hanging out, right, on the streets, talking about it. That they believe that this myth of the true king, the true monarch, is actually connected to what they thought was what was called a city parent. That it is something that, now they were talking big philosophical talk because they were kind of high at the time. That if there's enough, it's like the collective subconscious, right? If there's enough energy, the people of a place can change reality in some ways, right? And so you're not going to get this except from the biggest cities, but the sort of collective of the people can manifest in a spirit, and that spirit itself takes care of the city. And it is, in a sense, the city itself. And if something happens to the city, something happens to the spirit, something happens to the city. Something happens to the city, something happens to the spirit. And this spirit if it manifests and becomes a thing, can help make that place strong, powerful, healthy. But if you had to guess, it probably would manifest at the center of all those ley lines. And if it is manifesting there from everything you have done and researched, it is probably being poisoned. And it is probably in great danger. Which means the city itself is in great danger. And for you who has connections in the city itself versus sort of long-standing sort of historical knowledge, that is in this moment, right before we go to break, it hits you, Della. That is why the city and everyone in it seems to be so melancholic and gray. That is what's happening right now, because it's not just that kindred and lupine and changelings and mages are being killed. It's the city itself is withering. Is becoming, withering is the wrong. Well, withering is a good word, because withering, only things that are natural and alive can wither. It's becoming harder, colder. The people in it are becoming more irritable, but also more listless. And it hits you. What you're seeing in the city right now is the effect of the poisoning of the city mother of Detroit on all of the people of Detroit. And Qasim, because your connections come through, your knowledge comes through werewolves, studying them. They want, your guess is that they want this compact because they have a larger concern. They have big concerns about all of this, but I think it is their concern about the city mother being chained and destroyed or turned to being corrupted. That this is, for them, this is the problem, right? And that is probably driving this push towards a compact. Because that's sort of apocalyptic for them. It's like a werewolf apocalypse, you know? It's like a shout out. But that's where we're going to take our break. We're going to take a 10-minute break, everybody. We're going to stretch. We're going to hydrate. Make sure you drink water. And we will be back in 10 minutes for them to ponder what to do, that this group of people who are working against them are working to unravel the fabric. Well, it's much bigger than just killing some supernatural creatures. It's the very soul of the city itself. So, my friends, we will be back in 10 minutes. Hello, everyone. We are back. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a lovely break. We're going to just jump right in because there are things happening. At this moment, we've got this meeting. We've got the Reverend has a social to go to. Della has a memoriam to go to. And our prince can support or do a different thing. I would like to know what y'all are going to do because, well, I will note the darkness has been sent off to do some blackmail, let's say. Uh, mhm, mhm. Davis is trying to get some kind of peace between her lupine buddies and her kindred buddies, trying to get an official compact going on. Roscoe's going to go off and help this gang war. So what do we got going on here, people?
I believe by people, I need to make a decision, which is something I'm very good at.
But you're also the prince, so you also can possibly make decisions for other people. They may or may not.
This is the best part for Luther. Luther just stares until Qasim makes a decision. Just
Well, Davis, I see no point in waiting. Let's bring your friend somewhere close.
Groovy. All right. If you want like ceremony and all that, it's good. Chill.
Well, I think more importantly, it's a good idea to discuss terms. Elena, do you mind joining me?
No, I think this would be a good idea. Yes. That means, by the way, Davis, we cannot all ride on your motorcycle to this meeting, so.
Have you ridden on Davis's motorcycle before? I've never offered to ride this motorcycle.
Davis like, come on, Prince, I will ride you to, cool, to the location.
that makes Luther rise an eyebrow.
Oh, no, it's cool. It was just a joke. I tickled myself. It's cool. No, I can take you there. I'll be fine. And, okay, Elena, she's just nervous because the last time she rode on my bike, she saw, like, all 14 of her past lives and her current one. Elena's like, I will never ride on her bike again.
Fascinating. We should probably bring Fatima as well.
Cool. And Elena's like, I will message her. Use the phone. Where are we meeting? There's like a cool, it's a cool head shop, you know? It's just down that way, and we'll meet there. It'll be cool, man.
A head shop?
Yeah, they've got tie-dye shirts and you could get pipes, hookah.
A weed place.
Yeah, but it's more than just that. You can get everything. Crystals. Nice. She will escort you out with her to ride on the motorcycle. But before she goes and she, just as she's passing out, she just, squeezes the Reverend's shoulder, reassuringly, so that he won't get jealous. And everybody sees it. Just noting it. It's all just right there. Oh, obvious. And Elena's gonna make a phone call to Fatima. Let's start in this 3-split. Della, where do you go to bring back a memory of where, so you might be able to try to remember where Achi stays? Where is this location?
I'm going back to the location of Old Chinatown.
Yes. Oh.
Probably, I would know the location of his old shop.
Yeah, you would.
I'm sure I frequented it, and there probably weren't very many places kind to Asians at that time.
Yes.
Granted, Della is Korean, but she probably would have spent a lot of time in Chinatown.
Yeah. This is the place in the future, right, where Vincent Chin will be killed, right? So this is a place that has such important Asian American history in it, this Detroit. From sort of the Syrians coming in to work in the factories I mean, it's a deep place, and city planners came in and destroyed a lot of it not too long ago. So you go down to this place, and I did not put it up there, but I did not put it on our thing, but I might be able to show you. So this is a map where Detroit's original Chinatown, where you could see where it was, right? This was this chop suey place, right? The Onlyong building, the Chinese Merchant Association, the Tongs actually, the Chinese Cultural Building, and the Chinese School of Detroit. This is where they all were, but now they're all gone, right? Just razed. All those buildings just bulldozed and destroyed. And built up now with these sort of gentrifications, right? Because this is all part of the, how do I put this? Detroit Renaissance is the center, right? The root of the spokes of that wheel, but they're trying to move out from there, right? And so you're getting these newer buildings coming up. And when you go to this place late at night, you can see the elements of whatever this is, like it's being woven, right? Sort of a steel cable spider web moving outward, pushing out all of these other ways of being. And you go to a place that is now an office building with some high-end shops that was once where the Chinese school was and where his little laundry shop was. And there's an alley where you can be right next to where his shop used to be. Do you take any items with you?
Question for you about that.
Yes.
How does underneath look?
Underneath?
Could I be in the sewers underneath his shop? I would know.
You could.
I would instead of being in an alley.
Absolutely. Absolutely, you could. I'm gonna need a roll for you though.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a roll for if you want to go to the sewers underneath where his old shop was. I will need a roll. And I'm going to also, let me pull this up. I'm going to bring back that. So let me just remind you. Here's our map.
Mm-hmm.
So for those to be reminded, everybody here, right there, that little small blue box is where the old Chinatown was. And if you notice, it is really, really close to where...
It's another reason I want to know what's underneath this place and how close I could get.
Yeah, it's really, really close. And if you notice, by the way, all these things right here in black, those are all of the redevelopment projects that the city structure is doing to make it a better place. And just note how it's all...
It goes on top of it, yeah.
And it's all right there, and then moving outward, right? They're wanting to sort of create new ideas to redevelop and make it better. So, if you want to go to the sewers underneath, which apparently you do, I'm not mad about it. I'm going to need a roll. I'm going to need a roll from you.
And I really want to know what they're doing down there.
Yeah, I might need 2 rolls from you. Actually, the first roll is going to have to be, I need a stealth is what I'm going to need.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to need, let's say, Dex stealth and wits awareness. Those are the 2 things I'm going to need.
First one, dexterity stealth. My specialty for stealth is breaking in. Do I get a bonus?
Not for this.
Okay.
That will
that's a
come in
shot.
later, most likely, but not for this.
No B&E right now. Save the B&E for
3
later.
successes.
That is fair. And now I'm going to need...
You could willpower those. You got 3
Well,
dice.
Hold on. I got to figure out what my other roll is first. What's my other roll?
wits and alertness.
Wits.
Awareness.
Awareness.
Wits
Thank
and
you.
awareness?
I'm so old.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
wits awareness. Thank
That's
you.
fine.
Old school in that one.
Cancel. Wrong way. I did it. I keep hitting the wrong one first. And that's 7 of 2.
Oh, that's a good one for you to do well on, actually. Thank you. Thank you. All right. By the way, I had a thing and then I lost it. Now I'm so sad. Maybe if we could just double click on that. There we go. Great. That's what I needed. Perfect. So you begin to creep down the sewers closer to where old Chinatown used to be. And as you get closer and closer, you notice something. You notice something perhaps a bit disturbing or maybe you're... you know what? I'm not going to speak for you. Maybe you think it's fine. It starts getting cleaner and cleaner the closer you get. Mm-hmm. The closer you get to where the Detroit Renaissance is being built. And lights on the walls.
I'm gonna rouse the blood. I think I have to do that.
To go into the memoriam, yes.
Well, I was gonna do unseen passage. Or
okay.
is that already too late?
It's too late for that, but
okay, never mind.
You made your stealth check. You made it, but more important is the awareness and wits that you rolled. Okay. A 7 on. This is important because as you're creeping along and you start noticing that it's becoming cleaner and cleaner, and then lights are up along the walls of the sewers. And then
are they like new lights? Sorry.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes. New lights. And little barricades, like, you know, those wooden, like those, what do we call them? Like horses, sawhorses. Like those wooden sawhorses.
Yeah, like at parades.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yes. They're upstacked. You're getting the sense that work is being done here in this area. And as you move forward, there is one of the barricades. They're not actually stopping anything. You can just walk by them. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's really not that big of a deal. But do you remember when we talked about the federal government wanting to shut down the sewage system in Detroit because it's contaminated, dirty, not appropriate, problematic, and the federal government hasn't done it yet, but they're clearly sending people in to creep around? There are these little signs on barricades saying, stay out, testing by the federal government. This seems to be where your helpful environmental agents of the government are basing themselves around. You can see that this, very far from where you hang out, right, is a place where they have sort of set up barricades and clearly where they're working out of. And you can see like testing equipment, which is probably their, I don't know, maybe it's for show, maybe it's not. I don't know. Actually, you could check it out. But there's like water, like they've got little like drops going into the water, sort of testing things, right? You can start seeing more and more sort of like a proliferation of meters, testing units, sampling, right? Like sampling units into the waters of the sewage, right? Sort of right around the space as you move forward. You also notice some people that you're able to like blend, like your stealth, you are able to blend away. And these two people are sort of walk by. They're both wearing like lab coats, with hard hats and the goggles. And they've got clipboards, so they look like scientists, right? They look like government scientists. However, they also have guns, which they're also not checking any of the equipment. Just gonna note that. They just are walking by the equipment, looking like scientists. And they seem to be, because that you've got a 7 on your wits awareness, seem to be on patrol in this area. But you slip past them. Your stealth was good enough. And as you make your way to where old Chinatown was underneath, I should also say with your wits awareness, there are no insects here. There are no rats here. There are no cats here. It starts smelling like something strange. It doesn't smell natural. It doesn't smell like sewage, right? It starts smelling like electricity. If you've ever been shocked, if you ever like got shocked accidentally and you can kind of taste it, it smells like that, right? It kind of smells like the taste of electricity when you actually got shocked by something. With this, you were able to find, with your wits awareness, you're able to find a little spot where you can hide in to go into your memoriam without being found. But whatever is happening down here, this is the federal government. And you're not far from the Detroit Renaissance at all. At all.
While I'm down there, I want to make sure I get a really good look at those people on patrol. Like I want a good look.
Oh, give me wits and a complementary skill. There are options for you here, depending on what kind of stuff you want to learn from them.
So the reason I'm checking them out is I would like to remember what they look like so I can use Mask of 1,000 Faces later.
Oh,
and blend in.
Yeah, that's fine then. You don't need to roll for that.
Okay.
That is fine. I will note that there is an awful lot of testing equipment down here. They are clearly, there is a bunch of testing of the water levels, what's going on in there. Like that is clearly happening.
As Della walks past that, you could see her like almost hesitate to swipe something, but knows she has to get the memoriam done first. Then we steal. We should do the important thing before stealing.
Yeah. And also, because that's a 7 and that's a really good roll. The last thing I'll give you for this is as you go and find your like little spot, you notice like a really small silver thread connects some of these meters.
Ooh.
Very thin little silver thread connecting. And you're like, it feels arcane to you, right? It feels as if this is
avoid those.
That there's something happening right here. When you find this place, a place where there's like an inlet that you can like dig into so that anybody on patrol will not see you. I ask you one more question. Do you bring anything with you? Do you have an item?
Yes. She would have a little wooden box, something that he put powders or incense, medicine, just a little box. It's not big. It's really indescript. Most people probably even wouldn't think twice about it. Just an old pharmacy box. Or not pharmacy, laundromat box that he probably put some stuff in for her.
Yeah. I need you to rouse the blood.
Cool. That's gonna go fun. I'm so glad I ate this morning. Oh God, where is it?
Yep. That's a success.
Yeah.
You settle in like a pipe. You know what I mean? Like you're in there. Probably close the grate behind you, most likely. And you must bring yourself back in time, into the past. You have to open up those memories that you, as a vampire, store away so not to go mad too many lifetimes. In your mind, go back, back, back. This box at your side to help anchor you in the past. In the place where Chinatown used to be, but is now something else. To ground you there and here. And your mind begins to stretch. Your breathing changes. This is a process that is very, very taxing and draining. Difficult. What if you get lost forever? The clown is there always. As you stretch back into time, into the memoriam, the smells are different. You find yourself in the alley above. But the buildings aren't there. That Detroit Renaissance Center is not there. All that gentrification is not there. Around you now, in this moment, is Chinatown. Not everybody here is Chinese, I will tell you that, right? This is basically where like all of the Asians, mostly East and Southeast Asians, are all in this place. And you have got the Chinese Merchants Association, which is organized crime, right over there. That's what that one is, right? Right over in that building. Yeah. And you see like a say 30-year-old guy in a white suit looking sort of like a Chinese businessman, and just the peak of like a little tattoo coming out of his collar. And he's walking to the building, and you see like a family, like a husband, wife, 3 children. They seem to be probably Chinese, walking hand in hand. You see things in mostly Cantonese, right? Sort of written up in signs. There is just the smells, right, of Chinatown and the people of Chinatown. And everyone is sort of moving about in this place that no longer exists anymore. And somebody's laughing, and you can smell the incense from that place over there, right? You can smell, and there's somebody over there selling duck, right? There's like a little food cart with all sorts of duck on like spits, right, that have been taken off. And you remember you were on your way into the laundromat. And it's like this, it's the memory that becomes what is happening, right? It's like you remember and then you are, but you also remember that day when you walked into the laundromat, something wasn't right. And as you step into the memory, it's just like it was. What year is it?
Oh God. Sorry, I lost my pen and I completely forgot what was going on. It is, how long? He's been missing for how many years?
Well, nobody knows. Most people can't find him, right? And Chinatown's been destroyed. So, and most of these people who, by the way, who want to know him, never knew him. They know of him. There's like magicians, sorcerers who know of him, but they were never part of his community necessarily, so they don't know where to find him. And he hasn't been seen at least since the 1940s.
I think this is going to be it. Oh, there it is. The last time I think she saw him was probably around the close to the end of the 20s.
Yep.
She probably would have taken a lot of the 30s off. That wasn't a great time for a lot of America, so.
And as you step in to the memory, you come back through the back door, And you remember hearing it like it was yesterday, because you are there. It is yesterday. You hear the crash of something being knocked over. And then you hear like a oof, someone being hit. And you hear a laugh. Is it a high-pitched, clownish laugh? It's not the same, but it's like a laugh. All right, buddy. Pay up. Pay up. We'll burn your place down. So, over at the church social, oh, I should just tell you, you see them, 2 police officers, 2 cops, in their like shiny uniform. And they've got their batons, their billy clubs. And one has just hit him, Achi, right in the stomach. And his daughter's hiding, watching, as one cop just hit this guy. And the other cop has just pushed like his cash register over. And you know, because you were here then, cops never came into this neighborhood, ever, unless they were going to rob you. This was not a neighborhood they cared about protecting, or any of the people they cared about protecting. But, you know, since no one's going to protect these people, then they can get extra money. And it's 1929, so, you know. And you see them in that moment. And then we'll pull out and over to our church social. Good dear Reverend. The church is packed. There's I imagine you have like either a parking lot or a courtyard attached to your church. Resurrection. What's the full name? You're muted. You're muted.
Oh, my bad. It's just Resurrection Church. There's no long, extended lengths, blah, blah, blah explanations. Resurrection Church.
Resurrection Church. Parking lot, courtyard. Let me know about this.
Parking lot.
Later.
Yes, it's a large parking lot. It is it's just a 1-story building, sort of like wide, stout sort of thing, but it's not tall. It's Midwestern space. If you've been through Midwest, you know how space can just be big ass space. So the parking lot is where everything's going down. We got people and cars with the lights on for lights because, you know, lighting is not necessarily easy to come across in this day and time. So that's the case. People don't seem too stressed about their gas because it don't cost $4 a gallon like it does today.
Although we're in a bit of a gas crisis at the moment, I'm afraid. So there's a bit of
but
a bit of a thing.
It's not.
It's just you can't get it, right? There's like people are in long lines to sort of get gas. It's a bit of a.
It's where you get it. It's hard to get, but everybody's prepared for this event. This is a big event.
Yes.
Because they're talking about potential mayor, a black mayor at that. Oh, this is
yes. Now, tables, right? Tables.
Yes.
Long tables with food.
Yep.
Big crowd.
Yes.
Press. Because I know some of y'all have some press contacts.
Yes.
He's in the back getting ready to come out. When he arrived, he had to go and freshen up. He went back to an office to gather himself. He opened a drawer. There was an envelope, a manila envelope. He opened it. There was a small vial, dark red liquid. It was strange. He opened it and he drank it. He wasn't quite certain why. And then he put the stopper back on, put it in there, closed it, put it down, and then went back to he had a notepad of notes for the speech that he was going to give, and he goes back to sort of go over it, thinking about how everybody's sort of taking care of everything out there.
Yep.
What is the
Miss Mary Jane Green has been handling business for me. It's my go-to gal. Does the Reverend take advantage of the fact that he looks like her first husband a few times? Yes, he does.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Now she is making sure everybody needs to go where they want to go. You've got like some younger kids who are like 12 or 13 kind of acting as ushers, right? Making sure that people go where they like. There's something very wholesome about the scene, right? It's it's kind of got a bit of a community feel to it, right? In the sense of not exactly right, but kind of block party. Do you know what I mean? In the sense that like,
oh yes, it does have block party vibes because there's music playing.
Yeah.
Everybody's tuned to the same radio station. Some of the radios are a little staticky. You got to tell them to shut those off.
And somebody runs up to you. It's a young teen, 17, 16, 16 maybe, runs up to you. Reverend.
Yes, my young brother. What's going on?
Reverend. And he's wearing like a
relax.
striped t-shirt, jeans, bell-bottom jeans, and he's got his like little afro pick in the back of his head, and he's like, Reverend.
Take a breath.
He looks around.
I'm not going nowhere.
They're coming.
Spit it out.
They're coming.
Who's coming?
My second cousin's older brother has a friend who works at the theater. And he told them, Sly and the Filming Stone, they're going to be here after the show. They're going to come here tonight.
Praise be. Sly and the Family Stone.
Yeah. They're going to come. We're going to Sly and the Family Stone.
Is with us tonight. Yes, they are. He is. Oh.
It's going to be great. Oh. I'll tell everybody. Okay. And he runs off.
Now, hold on.
What?
Let's let it be a surprise to the people. Like, listen, this is something only me and you know right now, and your cousin's cousin, somebody or other.
My
so when they show up, yeah. But when they show up and they set up, just imagine the faces on all these people if they're surprised.
Okay.
And you are part of that surprise. As a matter of fact, we'll do you one better. We'll have you announce them.
Right on. And the kid, he's like a kid that's been around. His mom comes to church all the time, right? And he sort of grew up here. He sings in the choir. He like has dreams. He wants to be a musician. He's like a good boy. He has some friends who are in the Flins, right? But his mom doesn't let him out at night too late, right? But, he's so excited. And everybody's getting ready. And it's like, there's like a sense of electricity in the air. Do you do anything before Coleman Young comes up to speak?
Well, that depends on how many Kendra show up. I know my flock are gonna show up, except for my one daughter who don't like to show up to shit. But everybody else will show up.
You're not the boss of me, Dad. Kind of am actually, but
I took you out of this world, and I'll take you out again.
When it comes to kindred who show up, you catch Blue Jean, the Velvet Scourge, sort of. She's not in the center. She's off to the side, kind of just like across the street of the parking lot, looking like somebody who's just hanging out, But you can tell she's looking for kindred, right? She's looking to see if there's anybody, because she was given a directive from the prince. If there's anybody who's not introduced who shows up, right? She's not paying so much attention to what's happening inside as what's happening outside of this event. And she looks sort of just like you notice her. Most people don't even pay attention to her. She just looks so boring. She just looks like some kind of college student, maybe, you know what I mean? Just kind of hanging out. But you can tell she's on the job, you know?
What was Coleman Young's security person's name? What was her name? Because I'd be looking for her.
Gutierrez, I think her name was. She is definitely here. And also the official security guy is there. But she is definitely there. And she's on high alert with a clipboard, right? I mean, so it doesn't look like she's security, but she is. And she's just mingling around the edges, and she's watching entrances, like streets, right? She's watching the buildings, right? She seems to be looking for snipers. It seems to you is what she's looking for.
So I just for some setup, I put my my chowder on the roofs to hide in shadows to look for anybody climbing up on roofs. That's where they're posted at. They want to make sure there's nobody got clear sight lines from the rooftops. If they're somewhere farther away, I can't really do much about that. But on my roof, best believe that ain't happening. And so I want to talk to Gutierrez and I want to talk to Mr. Young.
Gutierrez is there. She's taking notes, right? She's doing secretarial work. And she just sees you and she nods and she's like writing some notes down. And really, she's not paying attention at all. She's scanning her sector. And she looks like when Coleman Young emerges from the church, she is going to be within a quick sprint distance of him, the entire route from there to the podium where he's going to be. But she looks like she's just sort of paying attention to like numbers and all of that. But she's on high alert. She notices you. She nods. And there are a couple of people that you recognize as being Panthers who are just around. They are not dressed as Panthers, but you remember them from the campaign office.
And so I just tell her, I go, good evening, ma'am. I just want to let you know that I appreciate you being here. And this is a big event for all of us around here. And
of course.
Closer. And I go, listen, I know you're a more than capable woman, but I am also someone who often finds himself with the target upon his back, if you understand my saying. We are as safe as we could possibly be. I have things in place to make sure that's the case.
She stops. There's like a nod, but when you say that, she stops. And she looks at you a second time. There was the first look where she looked at you, she assessed if you were a threat, she figured you weren't, she moved on. You said that, and she gives you a second look. And that look, I would need a roll, an insight roll if you wanted to know more.
Okay.
Wits.
Wits and insight?
Mm-hmm.
All righty.
Ooh, that's a messy critical. You can spend willpower to re-roll up to 2 of those dice.
I'll take a messy crit.
You'll take the messy crit? Okay.
I'll take the messy crit. Because I can only re-roll 1 die.
No, you can re-roll 2. You can re-roll that critical
success. I'm not re-rolling that crit. I ain't doing that.
I'm just going to get rid of messy critical is all I'm saying.
Is 2 successes enough successes?
Yes.
Well, then I will re-roll it in that case.
Because
I didn't know the difficulty. That's the only reason
No.
reticent. All right.
2 is enough. It's not too bad, but messy critical would be awesome for me and your beast, which
Right.
Okay, 3.
So yeah, just takes 3 successes.
I'll ask you a question about your beast at another time. I was ready for that one.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right, but I want to give you the option.
Oh yeah.
You see her, and you can see her. You said that, and then she swept the space again, right? Checking to see who's hers, who's yours.
Mm-hmm.
And as she looks, she sees a couple of young men who are not hers, but who clearly seem to be yours. Not that 16-year-old kid, right? Jimmy. Not him, but some of the other folks you have who are a bit more strongly built and who are positioned quite well. And you can see her reassess you, not as a threat, but as someone who isn't a civilian, right? So there's like a moment like, oh, okay. You are not just some random donor, pastor, person that I don't really care about. You're now interesting. She now thinks you're interesting. And when she assesses, you can see that she likes your security. And that makes you even more interesting. There's something about a pastor who has good security that she finds a little fascinating. Not in a threatening way, right? But in a, she's going to, Gutierrez will remember that. Is it one of those sort of things, right? That she's going to sort of like, oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
And she nods, just, I'll make sure they're counted, she says. And she's got this like list of like how many people have been here, right? Like not names, just like checking, like tick marks, checking off like attendance. But she sort of just gives you a bit of a wink as she sort of maneuvers.
Yeah. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just want to make sure that you are aware.
Thank you. She stops. She closes her eyes. Joseph. Reverend Joseph.
Yes. Reverend Joseph. But you can call me.
She nods. Ah, Luther. Yes, Mississippi. Correct?
Indeed.
She nods. Looks around a bit before she steps back and she says, "You're very young."
That I am. Yeah, I'm older than I look, but I'm still.
She looks skeptical. She looks skeptical at that statement. Because you look pretty young.
He's like, I'm 25.
25. There are a lot of young people here today.
Yes, there are. Church always needs fresh blood.
They need inspiration.
That's the goal. We're hoping that Mr. Young can bring that to the city.
Too many young people don't get to be old people in this city.
Oh, yeah. You just asked Miss Mary Jane over there. She'll tell you all the stories about her husbands who died way before their time.
She looks, it's like, it's instinct. You can tell. She looks, Mary Jane, is she a threat? No. Comes back, right? It's just like the minute you point somebody out, she's like, threat assessment. She comes back. She nods. I think he'll be coming on stage soon.
Yeah, I just want to have a short chat with him just before then.
She nods. All right. And she kind of points to like where he's going to come out of the door. And she's like, and she doesn't say anything, but it's for the sense of like, that's a good spot for you to have a conversation with him, right? Like she's checking her.
Mm-hmm.
It's like outside, but not in the full view of the crowd, but she can make sure that you're safe, right? It's just that kind of direction.
Mm-hmm.
And she steps back.
Thank you, miss.
And the door opens, and you see Coleman Young stepping out, and behind him is his security guy, his like personal security guy. They step out of the doorway. There's a way to go. There's a very long distance to go from there to the podium. And they step out into this sort of like alcove right of the doorway, and they're chatting a little bit. I assume you plan to
Roll on over.
intercept. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm. As you are stepping towards him, he looks up at you and he smiles. And he steps forward, putting his hand out to shake your hand. Wits alertness. Awareness. Wits awareness, please.
You got it. Oh, that's going to be a willpower reroll.
Also, I hope you all have your desires for today. So that if you... That's 2 out of 2.
2 successes.
You need 3. But 2 is interesting. As you're stepping forward, and he's stepping forward to you, and you can see all of the people waiting to hear him speak, and music is playing, and people are laughing, and there's such a good feeling. Somebody's singing along, right, to dance to the music, and something isn't right, but you can't put your finger on it. Don't know what it is, something isn't right. But you can't see anything. Except one thing. A truck drives by. An old beat-up truck, you know? The kind, it's like a pickup truck, but the flatbed has got, like, you know, there's like, you know how some trucks will have like wooden railings, like on top, so that if you have something tall, it won't fall out?
Yeah.
So it's got those little, like those wooden railings, and it's old, it's an older truck. And in the truck, it is full of washing machines. And the washing machines are spinning backwards as this truck sort of just drives by. They're not plugged in or anything. It's just that you see them in that moment. They're spinning backwards. There's a prophecy about that. Anyhow, he smiles at you. He puts out his hand.
I shake his hand. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Young. I absolutely appreciate it. I know these people are going to love whatever you have to say. I just want to take a moment to have just a short chat with you. Yeah.
Of course. Reverend, I appreciate you putting this together at such a short notice. This is an amazing turnout. I have not seen so many people in there. I don't know how you got radio. Is that college radio? I don't know how you got everybody here, but I appreciate this. It's a final push. It's important.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Is. Did you find my office to be accommodating?
Yes, I did. You know, you remind me of somebody I know.
Who's that?
You remind me of a cousin of mine. You look just like him. One of my favorite cousins.
You know, I get that a lot. And I also get that I'm very young, which I will be honest, I am a little bit on the younger side for Reverend. I do get it. But I hopefully use that. I use that to help the people here, especially the young ones. Keep them out of gangs and things of that nature. Just want to keep this place safe.
Now, you said that you were going to be helping move Solstice poles. You've got some buses lined up.
Absolutely, yes. That's been that's a big push here.
And he's
willing to have all of that prepared.
Like his security is like scanning the sector, and like all of his security and yours, everybody's like looking for some kind of threat from the outside coming in, right? While everybody on the inside is just having a grand time. Nobody on the inside seems to be aware of anything being wrong. Not even you.
Thanks.
And he smiles and goes, now, I would imagine in this neighborhood, you could probably use good funds coming into the neighborhood. I'm thinking maybe there's a park down the street that hasn't had funds in a while. We could go and make sure we have funds to help the kids have a place to play. If there's anything else we could talk about, I mean, as one of my constituents, I'm hoping we can do something to make sure that this neighborhood, if you have thoughts and
parks, some of the schools need some maintenance, especially the elementary school just down the street. A little bit more funding. That's really what it needs. It's a money thing. You understand? And if we just had some of those, like we got potholes that have been there since I moved here, and that's
yes, of course,
a minute now. So I'm hoping we can get the streets a little bit better, and then as the things get nicer, then you just don't have those same the same riffraff hanging around and causing problems.
Well, really, I feel like we need some reform. Anybody who's riffraff, they probably just need a job.
They just fell through the gaps. I've talked to so many of these young folks who found themselves in just bad situations, not because of something that they did wrong, but it's just a circumstance that they grew up in.
Yes. And he smiles at you. And he's moving towards the podium.
Yeah. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't want to take up too much time, but I do want to just hit on one thing. Apparently, Sly and the Family Stone are planning to show up here. I just got word that might be the case. Yeah.
And there's that moment when you're like, you can sort of read it. I couldn't go to the concert because now I can, right? Like there's that moment where like, and he smiles at you with this like sense of warmth and friendship. He says, Reverend, if you need anything. And he writes down the names, right? He writes down churches, potholes, and he writes down everything you said in terms of things to help make this place better. And he smiles at you with this real warmth that it really only comes from, blood bonding. And he steps up to the podium and he looks at this huge crowd of smiling faces. Some people have face paint on, little like sunflower face paint. And nobody notices anything weird. Nobody here notices, for example, the two white tourists who've been coming from church to church to church, checking out the music, who our dear Lottie found out from her respectability politics friend have been going to each church asking questions about where you might find mysterious, super authentic kind of church services. Super authentic. Nobody notices them, but they are definitely in the audience, paying close attention to whatever happens here. Meanwhile, Prince. Davis rides fast. She also pops a wheelie. She's having a grand time. It's not that even far. She doesn't get to go very far. So, the ride to the head shop where you're going to meet is not long enough for her pleasure. But she goes from 0 to 60 real fast. She pops a wheelie. She does not wear a helmet. That would ruin her afro. And she is just like, woo! Right? As she just like zooms you there. How do you feel about slightly reckless driving? Dear Qasim.
Oh, I'm honestly very used to it.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
I've got
only it's like 10 minutes. That's all she's got. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a very far ride. She like skips to a stop. She's like, all right, it's groovy, man. So we're here.
Oh, good. Before we begin,
Yeah.
Stick to calling me Cass. Yeah.
Cool. Cass?
Yes.
Cool.
One more thing.
Okay.
I've noticed you and the Reverend have gotten very close over the past few days.
Yeah, he's groovy. When I first met him, I thought he seemed a little square, But it turns out he's not square at all. It's like, he's solid.
What do you mean?
mean, like a lot of people are just like uptight, you know? They don't like live. They don't feel, you know? They don't understand, like, the world's a mystery. There's like space for love and like peace. Like, most of the time preachers are just like, book, but he's like, I'll tell you, Cass, you know, like, he believes in the heart, you know?
Does he?
Yeah.
Has he given you a gift of some kind to earn this affection?
No, nothing special, but talk. I feel like he sees me, you know?
I'm gonna...
I need to make a roll. Go ahead. You can also... wanted to make a roll as well?
I was thinking about, like, trying to keep talking to them, keep like engaging to kind of maybe manipulate them to reveal a bit more than they probably should.
Go on. I'm gonna need this is gonna be manipulation and probably persuasion, but I could see something else. Be politics, depending on where you want to go.
What about manipulation insight?
Fair enough. That works for me.
I like that.
I will take it. I will take it. Because whenever you roll your skill, I flavor it, you know.
Yeah. No pool size modifier. I don't know the difficulty, so I'm not gonna pretend I do.
So that's a messy critical.
Yeah.
What do you want to do about that?
Absolutely nothing. It's gonna be messy.
Well, great. This is gonna mean some things. I need you to know it.
Yeah. I understand.
So, let's talk about that. When you get a messy critical, that means your beast, your instincts, not necessarily you, start coming to the forefront. You succeed, but your success comes at a cost. Because you are not always in control of yourself. And you are not always who you want to be. Because sometimes those voices of the dead, of the plague victims, haunt you. Sometimes they look out for you. Let's talk in this moment about how this might manifest, as she says. Because you sort of push a little bit, you know? Gifts. And she says something to you. Pardon me, that was the GM me. She says, as you push about gifts, right? She's like, no, man, they're no gifts, but like, okay, you know how you can get into a higher consciousness? You know? Like, magic mushrooms and like red wine. You know what I mean? Like, you can sometimes just like open up the doors of perception and see things like a new way. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Right? Yeah. Well, like for us, like we can't do that anymore, man. I mean,
how do you get that high?
It's not about the high, man. It's about transcendence. It's about transcendence. So I feel like you might want to come in on this. we've started a practice, you know, where we put our vitae in a chalice together, and we let that just mingle, you know, and then we all drink together. And it's a way to like show unity and love. And like, we have done that, and I would love for you to join us, man. You can put your vitae in the same chalice as the chalice that I put my vitae in, and that Luther puts his vitae in. We could actually maybe have all of the Primogen do this together, man. We just put it all in the same chalice, and then we drink, and then we are one with each other, you know? And then it's transcendence. Before you say a word, now we need to talk about how this messy critical is going to play itself out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, let's talk about this, shall we? So, let's just talk about some stuff. So, what is your occult rating?
My occult is 1. But I do have this interesting flaw called shunned by the Sabbat that may indicate I know more than I let on. Yeah.
I see. Could you roll your intelligence plus occult and give yourself a bonus die?
I'd
for
love
being
to.
shunned by the Sabbat. If you would.
Love a flaw getting handy, right? I'm going to willpower that because I want as many damn successes as possible right now. 5.
Well then, 5. Okay. I'm going to tell you a couple of things. But I'm going to tell you this right now, and you need to know it. Are you ready?
Yes.
I hope you're ready. By the way, I have to ask you a question. What is your clan, not your clan Bane, but compulsion. You know how, yes, what is your clan compulsion?
Judgment. Urged to punish a wrongdoer, I must slake one hunger from anyone that acts against my own convictions. Failing to do so results in a 3 dice penalty to all rolls until the compulsion is satisfied or the scene ends.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a couple of things, and then we're going to talk about what your messy critical looks like as your beast, this chorus of plague victims, starts speaking. The Sabbat. Very few people know anything about them. They don't really know exactly what they are, really. They know they exist, at least mostly. People say, oh, this group, that group, oh, this, but it's a lot of words. It's very hard to confirm who the Sabbat are or what they do. You have heard many rumors about them, because you have actually met some. Many of the rumors are not true, at least not as far as you know. There's a whole rumor that the Sabbat go and bury people alive, like they turn people, bury them, and then they have to like dig their way out of the grave. That is just not true. That doesn't happen. That is a bunch of lies coming from the Camarilla. Shuffleheads, right, they call it. You have never met a Sabbat who's ever done that. You also hear that Sabbat, like, eat babies. That is also not true as far as you know. You hear that, like, oh, they're only special clans in the Sabbat, but actually you've seen people from all sorts of clans that are in the Sabbat. The Sabbat really don't seem to be a lot of what people have said about them. There's a lot of just misinformation about them. They seem, according to the stories, almost all told by the Camarilla, to be basically the devil, right? Very dangerous. They're always out to get you. They're going to destroy any city they come into. They just move in. They murder all the Camarilla every single time. They're brutal. They believe that all they should do... Look, the stories are that when they come into place, all they do is just run around with their fangs out, just murdering kind all the time because they don't care about discretion, right? And they're just completely evil. That doesn't make any sense, right? You cannot... If there were a thing called the Spot running around just murdering people left and right with no inhibitions, we would know about it, right? That's the story they tell, though. The people you have met, not so much. But you do know a couple of things about the Sabbat. There is a ritual called Valdery, wherein they all share their blood with each other and drink of it as a group. And you know that the La Sombra and the Zimish are quite prevalent in the Sabbat. You know that this has something to do with the Ventru and the Sombra from way back. You got the sense that perhaps the Ventru did something to push out or marginalize the La Sombra centuries ago. But La Sombra and Zimish, just like Lottie, actually, and the Reverend, are far more represented in the Sabbat than many of the other clans. You have... They seem a little cult-like to you, actually, the Sabbat. Yes, a lot of misinformation, but the way they all drink each other's blood in some kind of ritual. That's... And you know what's funny? The voices say in your head. Isn't the Reverend's church all his childer? All voting the same way, all one group, all together, and sort of culty vibe, Sabbat vibe, maybe. And the voices whisper to you, they say, that's what the note meant. Sterling's note. That there is Sabbat in this city. But it's the Reverend. He is Sabbat. What are you going to do about it? And let me ask you, you may choose some sort of monstrous action. Oh, sorry, to make it a little bit easier for you. And if he is Sabbat, then he has turned Davis. She is Sabbat too.
Thank you, Trooper.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm just trying to give you joy. She is Sabbat too, and you can feel all these plague victims. Also, some of them might have leprosy. It's all sorts of ailments from centuries. And the beast is certain that this kindred who's standing in front of you in this, like, dashiki with her huge fro is Sabbat. So, your choice. You do something really monstrous and get stains for it. Gotta be bad. You breach the masquerade as you visibly demonstrate supernatural strength or speed, leave a gaping wound in someone. You lose a dot from an advantage that, based on whatever kind of actions you're going to take right now, or your planned compulsion comes into play. What would you like?
I'm here alone with Davis. Elena
Mhm.
and Fatima have not arrived yet, right?
or they're already inside, one or the other. Well, actually, no. Sorry, Davis drives real fast that motorcycle, so they are not here yet. Yeah, she's real fast. They were walking because it's not that far. You know, it's a pretty decent walk, but it's not like a 5-minute walk or anything like that. But yeah, they're some time away.
Do you mind if I narrate? Just trust me on this. I narrate.
Please, of course, of course. And she's looking at you with this look of I'm sorry. Don't listen for 1 second. She's looking at you with this look of openness and joy and sharing and caring and giving and peace and happiness. You may now listen. She's looking at you with this occult-like look of obsession and brainwashing and maybe even menace. The voices in your head, they tell you that. Please.
I'm going to rouse my strength first. And I succeed. Quietly, calmly, too calm. Who taught you how to do that?
Do what, man?
And then with, honestly, super speed, I whip around, like going straight to Davis's back and grab her in a headlock and pull her up tight against my chest. Who taught you Voldery?
Pulling right back out. In this moment, Della sees 2 police officers beating Achi and his daughter watching. In this moment, Coleman Young steps up to the podium and he says, thank you everyone for being here. I am so happy. I want to thank my very good friend, Reverend Luther Cornelius Joseph, for inviting me here and the entire Resurrection Church. And 2 tourists sit, and one of them just scratches his ear and whispers something into what might be a small communicator to someone listening not too far away. Somewhere else in the city, the prince, an assassin, grabs Davis in a headlock and says, who taught you Valdery? Somewhere else in the city, a group of Errol Flynns come upon another group, and a bottle breaks. A switchblade comes out, and there is chaos. Not too far from this chaos is groups of young people begin to brawl, and you hear a store window break. Crack. And Roscoe watches from the side, waiting for the right moment. This is an Italian neighborhood. There's an Italian gang, and there is war. There's blood on someone's face, and Roscoe walks by, teetering, blocking with his cane a couple of blows that would have hurt the Errol Flynns. And you can hear sirens somewhere in the city. Jack Nichols, campaign manager, comes to in a bed in a dirty, dingy hotel. And by his side, naked, as is he, is a woman. She is quite dead, covered in blood, as is he. And the knife in his hand is also covered in blood, and he freaks out. It's beautiful. And it's all captured on camera. For later. He makes a phone call to try to get this cleaned up, but the darkness has already gotten all the photographs that she needs. Somewhere else in the city on this night, the city mother is being poisoned and leached and drained. And Detroit is being leached and poisoned and drained. Somewhere else in the city tonight, John Nichols sits down with a man and another man and a woman around a table, donors, one of those mysterious off-the-books donors meetings. And one of them, wearing a large cross, says, "Nichols, you have to win. If the Detroit Renaissance is not completed, everything will be for naught. We will make you, John Nichols, the prince of this city. It's all yours for the taking. But you've got to win." Nichols nods. And somewhere else in the city, a woman walks by a mirror in a restaurant, and a message appears in blood. She looks at it. Shock. She rushes out and she makes a phone call. And she says, in the phone, she waits. This is the 70s, so you have to wait for things to, happen in terms of time. After a few rings, the phone picks up. And you hear, "Hello?" She goes, "My prince, I just saw blood sorcery in the mirror. It's true. What you said is true. The city has been taken over by Sabbat." And that is where we end our episode.
I just want to live a happy little life with my bugs in the sewer. You two are going around making everyone think there's a bot's here.
I'm not doing
I'm
anything.
not
That's why we can't have.
What am I
That's why
supposed
we
to
can't
do?
have nice things.
All I did was write a lovely little letter inside a mirror. Okay.
You are both Sabbat.
I'm going to tell you all something.
Just a loving, caring Reverend.
I have done nothing wrong in this game, and I feel like I'm going to suffer for it.
Who may or may not have been carving out parts of the source.
Wait, I'm sorry, did you just say you did nothing wrong, but you're suffering for it?
I've done nothing
Is that
wrong
what you
in my
said?
life ever. Nothing. Nothing wrong ever. Me or my character.
Interesting. So I just want to make sure I get this right. So you're a person who's just living your life in the city that you're from. You didn't do anything wrong, and then people are accusing you of things and are probably going to use that as evidence to justify wrecking your stuff.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, I'm an Asian woman. I'm used to it.
Weird. It's like fanatics. Yep. Yeah. So, my friends, we're going to have to do our outros. And I'm so excited for it. I am so excited for this moment, which is you are the Sabbat. You are the Sabbat. When I say that, what I mean is, if you look at the lore, they say that Detroit's a Sabbat city. Isn't that interesting? And they're going to use the fact that you are Zemish and Lasombra and Benahakim and not them as proof. You are Sabbat. And that's all they need to demonize you and to justify whatever kinds of violence they want to stew against you. Because they've decided to call you that. So in our world, just because the books say it's Sabbat City doesn't necessarily mean it is. It might actually just be a city of vampires who are trying to make the city a better place, but are not the Ventrue. I'm just gonna note it. I'm just gonna note that there might be a little bit of stereotype being used to justify stuff. So my friends, let's do our outros. Say, if you would, who you are, where we can find you, and how do you feel about being Sabbat? I mean, I just want you to know that that's what they're gonna tell everybody. They're gonna tell everybody that la-di-da-di, everybody here is Sabbat. I mean, there's already like a bishop. Like, clearly that, like, I don't know if you know this, but they have titles. They have religious titles in the Sabbat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. And they're just going to say it. And also, I heard that there was like a whole shovel thing that was going on. There's a whole thing with that. Like, there's a whole stuff going on there. It's a lot going on there at that moment. Yep. So I want to know who you are, where we can find you, and how do you feel about the fact that you all, according to the Camarilla, are Sabbat? Let's start. And also, what are you going to do next session? Because I left you all on a cliffhanger because I care. What are you going to do next session? And give love. Sorry, that's the most important part. You've got to give love. April.
How do I feel about being... Oh, hi, I'm April. You can find me as April Raygun all over the internet, on a bunch of social media. I don't know what social media we're all using right now, but if you look up April Raygun, I'll probably be there. And I play Della, the Nosferatu who's done nothing wrong in their life ever. Who is not part of the Sabbat.
But you're Sabbat.
Nope, not part of the Sabbat. Wait till someone comes and asks me to sell these two out. Who's
sure
the
Kurt
only
Whitney-
one who can... I can sell you all back out, sell everyone out, and go back and join the Camarilla. I'm a Nosferatu. I'm safe.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, you killed their first spy. Sabbat did. So, I don't know if you know that Sabbat killed their first agent coming into the city.
I did not kill the spy. I asked them to leave nicely.
I don't know if that's the story, but that's cool. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
And
lie.
next week, what am I excited about next week?
Mm-hmm.
To see these memories, and I'm gonna steal some shit from these people.
Nice.
I want to steal
Nice.
shit. That's my next week.
Yeah. I'm excited. You might want to review combat because there are cops there. You know, they're kind of violent. Just ponder it.
I would like to go unseen passage right now.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. I'm very excited to see what happens next week with you. And give your love, of course.
Oh, and love. Oh God, I don't want to give either of them love. They have made us Sabbat. No one gets love from me.
Technically, the Camarilla made you Sabbat. I'm just gonna.
They know what they've done.
What? Just gonna say. Okay. All right. Fine. We'll go around to our next person. Nordine, who are you? Where can we find you? Give some love. How do you feel about being a Sabbat city, all Sabbat, run by the Sabbat, being full-time Sabbat, lots of Sabbat, and also, what are you going to do next week?
Hi, my name is Nordine Likadir. My pronouns are he, him. You can find me online on whichever social media is the it one that we are going to, that one, the one I know, as Werewolf Feels. Trust me, I've claimed it as everywhere I could.
Nice.
I try. How do I feel about being Sabbat? The answer is I have a long storied history of defeating the Sabbat. The Sabbat hate me. I might have more evidence than these two that I am not Sabbat, to be honest. So let's see what happens when I'm asked to sell folks out. Who knows? No, I am the prince of a Camarilla city, and any interloper, Camarilla or otherwise, who wanders into the city and thinks, oh, well, they're Sabbat, so I can just kill him, is going to have a reckoning to deal with.
That sounds very Sabat.
Oh, this is the prince I want to hear from. This is the prince that I wanted right here.
Yeah, everybody, for the record, please note the Sabat are running around just killing kindred who come into Detroit. You heard it here, everybody. Heard it here. Big ol' Sabat murdering kindred left and right. That's how they are, you know. They just murder everybody.
Listen, if you are what you eat, then I'll be Camarilla.
We're all gonna die before this game is over. There's no season 2. We'll be dead.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Next week, I'm actually looking forward to having a little a planning session with the little werewolves, my best friends.
Yeah.
And possibly trying to convince Davis not to hate me after that. We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, your beast's hanging out right now, you know. Your beast is like in a mood.
I'm bound to Davis. How dare you?
Yeah.
You touch my girl.
I'm so excited.
I will bite the both of you.
Ooh. Nice.
Not like that.
Oh, sorry.
So April, that's polyamory.
That's polyamory. I learned a thing.
Give your love.
Yes, I'll give my love. I have a lot of love to give in such precious little time. April joined up after being a week away and went into the thick of it. That's pretty freaking impressive on my end. So that's where my love is going, to our returning cast member April.
Prince, Dimples and Dice.
Hi.
You're up next. Who are you? Where can we find you? Give some love. How do you feel about being Sabat, a Sabat city? Clearly, as Kurt Whitney is going to tell everybody, that you're a full-on Sabat city. How do you feel about it? And
so
what are you gonna do next
yes,
week?
I'm Prince, also known as Dimples and Dice. That is where you can find me on the socials.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a social, then that's where you find me. Unless it's Facebook, because fuck that place. Anyway, let's see what I'm up to. I mean, you can I'm doing games. I'm nominated for a credit award. I'll be at Gen Con this weekend. So if you're going to be at Gen Con, come see me, say hello. I am not a vampire in real life. I won't bite unless you ask nicely. So let's see. How do I feel about being a Sabat? I'm gonna go there before I give love. So the Reverend actually knows very little about the Sabat, which makes this incredibly fun, because even though he's La Sombra, my sire didn't teach me shit about the Sabat because he was a defector.
Yep.
So yeah, the Reverend doesn't actually care that much. If a Ventru calls me a Sabat, fuck him, it's a Ventru. If the Prince calls me a Sabat, I would question his authority.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't accused anyone of being Sabat yet.
No, that's the Camarilla who does
choked
that.
out my girl. We got problems. Anyway,
I'm just wondering which Sabat person showed up and talked. I'm not like she's Sabat. Someone she knows is Sabat, you know?
I'm Sabat. You're Sabat. We're Sabat. We're all Sabat. Hey. Anyway, I'm gonna show love to April. I loved your little flashback scene in my bobber and all the shit you did, especially your creepy fly thing when you had your little freak out, the chittering when your beast started going. I thought that was pretty dope. Also incredibly creepy. Thanks for that. Love that visual. Just like roaches and fleas. Anyway, that's all I got. Trooper, take it away.
Okay then. So, I'm gonna pull up our messages. By the way, do you know the Black Panthers? Do you know them? I don't know if you know them, but the government says a lot of things about them, most of which were not true. They were running around having after school lunch programs. That's not what the government said. That's not what many people think about them. Also, there are a lot of people that are just trying to free their country in various countries in the Middle East, and that's not how we talk about them either. And there was a whole scare about Asian Americans bringing in the plague in San Francisco in the 1800s. Also not true. But the thing is, sometimes the truth isn't actually important to the people in power. And I think it's quite interesting. Werewolf Fields and I talked about this, how all of the Sabbat cities in World of Darkness lore are all kind of people of color dominated cities. And that's where somehow they're all Sabbat. And now you got to find out how that happened. They have just decided to call you Sabbat because that's how they do. So, my friends, I'm in charge of the World of Darkness. Many of them are not Sabbat cities. And also the Sabbat is not necessarily what you think it is. It's not necessarily like running around in the streets, baby eating shovel heads all the time. It's a little bit more complicated. Just like some of these other things we're talking about are more complicated. And that's our big metaphor that I was so happy that I was like, oh, we got there because of this. Nice. And you just kept giving me all this stuff to let it happen. Yeah. But you're set up. I'm sorry. So I didn't do it. Kurt Whitney did it. Also, the man. The man did it. I love these people so much. Let me see if I've got something to read out. We do not have any messages to read out for today, but I would like to go and say I'm troopersjp. And I'm going to just, I'm just double checking to make sure we don't have any tips or bit messages to read out. I don't think so. Good. Okay, so I'm troopersjp. You can find me, the next stream I'm doing, next RPG stream I'm doing is Friday on my channel here at 7 p.m. where I will be doing the next round of Crash Jones Space Adventurer, which is a Ironsworn Starforged campaign, but it's like a serial, like 1930s style serial. So if you've not seen anything before, that's cool because you don't have to. But Crash Jones was a member of he was a Tuskegee Airman who, when chasing a Foo Fighter, went through a portal and then found himself thousands of years in the future in the Traveler universe. And this is sort of like a serial that exists in the Traveler universe of like a pulp hero. And we're going to be doing, I think it's the Library of the Dead will be our next adventure. If you want to see that, you can come and see me there. And then the next time you can see me would be Monday at 8:30 p.m. over at Wandering Games channel for Montreal by Night, where I'm playing a vampire with only 3 humanity. Because sometimes you fail those things. You do. That does happen. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Could you roll your remorse check? Dearest Nordine. No humanity loss for you. All right. Okay. Good for you. No humanity loss. All right, then. I believe I think that's everything, right? Done the outros, said that. Next week, we're going to finish up this night, the Saturday night, and get all of our rolls in, 50 to 43. But I will say the police will not be able to contribute on the other side because they're busy. They are taken out of this evening's events because they are and you still have your werewolf allies. At the moment, at least, yeah. So, yep. The werewolves really like Davis. Just anyhow. Yeah,
I really like Davis too.
Yeah. She's cool. She's groovy. Do Sly and this family some really show up at the church? Well, let's find out. We'll find out. Yeah, that's it. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. It is much joy, much love. I feel like, no, I haven't given love. That's the one thing I need to do. I'm going to give love. Yeah. How do I feel about being Spot? I've already said, I feel great about, I feel great about them being called Spot because it's a way to flip the World of Darkness and their perceptions of all of that. That makes me happy. What am I looking forward to next week? I'm looking forward to whatever the players do, really. That's all I look forward to. I look forward to that. And my love. I'm going to give April love I'm going to give everybody love, but I'm going to give April love for this. April, I appreciate the look on your face when you emerged from your memoriam, and I could see you seeing Chinatown. You know what I mean? Like, I could see you seeing like a 1929 Chinatown. I felt it in your face, and it was beautiful. Also, I really appreciate much love for your like, hold on a second. There's this thing is happening underground. You're like, I need to check the underground to see what's going on there, right? And absolutely, by the way, that was brilliant stuff. Love it. And Rissa asks, who gets to tell Vin they're all Sabat? Yeah. Oh, please note, they're all like, yeah, there's La Sombra in the city. There's Zemish in the city. They're all Sabat. We all know it. Yeah, and there's like, oh, they murdered a Ventru. Yeah. So good. I'm going to give love to the Reverend. I'm going to give love to the Reverend, to good old Dipples and Dice, because you people give me presents, and I want you to give me the present of the Valdery. It was a fake Valdery, but like the Valdery, because I was like,
there's more to Valdery than just drinking the blood, but you know, we'll ride with this.
But look, here's the thing. Sure, but they don't care because they're just trying to stereotype you. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, oh,
of course, yes, absolutely.
Nice,
it's beautiful.
Nice.
It's a beautiful thing.
This is beautiful. This is beautiful, and I want to sort of thank you for that, and also for it's a weird thing to say, but like April gave me a vibe when she emerged into Chinatown. You gave me a vibe at that sort of block party event, and the ways in which you set up people to sort of keep this place safe, but then you didn't see the spies, right? Beautiful moment. And Nordine, I'm going to give you love for the Messy Critical. And also, I'm going to give you love for giving me another present, which is a blood ritual, which is going to be helpful for them to just call you all Sabat, right? You know, they're like, yes, absolutely. Look, they're doing creepy blood rituals. They're clearly Sabat. They're threatening us. Absolutely. They're dangerous Sabat. Absolutely. I want to thank you for that very, very much. Also, for killing Nikos. That was beautiful, right? That was like a beautiful moment. It was, actually, right? And I want to thank April and also Nordine for their beasts. And Vin and Dimples and Dice are going to have to tell me about their beasts next week, because I want to know what they sound like. That's it, everybody. I think that's it. That's us. Thank you, everybody. And I want to thank all of you. I want to thank all of you who are watching us. Thank you for being here and chatting. I don't yet know what I think the title for today's episode is just going to be Sabat. Probably. Obviously. And I think there was one last thing. I want to thank our sponsors, KY Hawkeye and Will and TW, who help make this show happen, as well as the Gamblers on Friday. So thank you so much. And much love to you in the audience. Much love to the cast. And thank you all. The title could also be The Beast in You. Well, that's true, actually. Power in the Blood. That also. Ooh, good titles. Thank you, everybody. We'll be here next week. I should check to see if anybody is streaming that we should raid, because we can. Who's raidable? Let's raid. Let's raid Miss Magitech. I'll raid Miss Magitech. Everybody, thank you very much. If you're going to go and raid, I have an exciting raid command that is a art history joke. Postmodern art history joke. It's fine. Give some love to Miss Magitech, and I will catch everybody on the flip side. Thank you so much for being here, and talk to your beast, everybody. Bye.
Deuces.